Okay. All right, I think we're live because YouTube kind of changed a little bit to some of this stuff. So, welcome to the Xbox 2 podcast. I'm Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, and of course, as always, my co-host with the co-most, the one and only Jez Corden of Windows Central. What is going on, buddy? How you been?
Hey man, not so bad. Yourself? Very warm today.
It is. It is. Well, you know what? We had a hot streak or a heat streak here in Chicago for a little bit, and like the air conditioning was on for 2 weeks. It was above 90 degrees almost every single day, which I'm sure you don't know. Like, you're like, 90 degrees? What the heck is that? Right? Because you deal in Celsius, while us people with men of culture deal in Fahrenheit, right?
I think 90 Fahrenheit is like 32 Celsius. That's about how hot it's been here today. 90 Fahrenheit.
So, yeah, but today,
like
the last few days here in Chicago, it's been kind of nice. No air conditioning on. Like, what is the temperature right now here in Chi-Town? It's 80 degrees. It's not too bad. It's not really that hot. It's not really that like cool, but it's a nice little 80 degrees. So, yeah.
I like it. Don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, too hot.
Too hot.
I wish it was just winter all year round. Why couldn't it be, instead of global warming, why couldn't it be global cooling? I could get behind that. I could almost get behind that.
You could almost get behind it? Yeah. Me too. I do not like the heat. And Chicago, we have both ends of the spectrum. It gets really hot during the summer, and it gets really, really cold during the winter. So it's it can be pretty bad. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us on a Friday night, the Xbox 2 podcast, the channel and everything, all the support. I appreciate each and every one of you guys that are here watching live and watching all the videos. And finally, I got off my lazy ass, and I had Colt make me some channel badges for all you guys that do go the extra mile and support the channel by hitting that join button, which is like $5 a month. And we got some achievement icon badges. I love my achievements, although not as much as I used to. So you can see people in the chat like The Dark Knight, my brother, with the little red icon. So there's many different types of icons for how long you're been a member. And then, of course, had to get the emojis, which I think, Jez, the Filmic one is probably going to be people's favorites, perhaps, potentially. But, of course, I'm kind of partial to Craig. I like me the Craig one, and then of course, the Phil laugh. You always got it. We have a good time here on Xbox 2, and the Phil laugh is always a great one, right? Just him just laughing at everything that's going on here, because sometimes trolls show up, and we just
I like my Filmic one.
I know well, there's also the Jez. You got your own one too, man. So
wow.
I have to have Colt make me something like for myself, like, even though why would anybody use a picture of me? But either way, got to shout out Jacob for the super chat, as well as Gunstar, who says he loves Darge. Everybody loves Darge. Phoenix Mental X7 becomes the newest member of the channel. Appreciate that, man. Enjoy all the emotes and stuff. And Darge Knight with I love crumpets. He wanted a crumpet icon. So yeah.
Crumpets are awesome. I'm a big fan of crumpets, to be fair.
So you're the big fan of the Filmic and all the stuff. So, enjoy the emotes. Use them at your discretion. So yeah, if you guys want to join the channel, it's there. We'll be adding more stuff to it to get more members. I can add more emotes and stuff. And then maybe eventually I'll be uploading videos early for you guys to watch. So appreciate all the support, whether you're just here chilling or whether you're, supporting through super chats or channel memberships and all that stuff. It's always, I'm always blown away by the support that people have been giving me over the entirety of the time I've been doing YouTube. So it's great to see. Anyways, how's been your week, Jez? You feeling? I know we talked a little bit earlier. You went to the doctors today, and you're feeling a lot better.
Yeah, doctor thinks I might have celiac disease, which is basically an allergy to some food groups.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to get that sorted out. Might have to, change my diet and stuff. But I've already started changing my diet, and I already feel a lot better. So, get confirmation on that next week. Find out what's going on. Basically, been poisoning myself for several years. If it turns out to be true,
Yeah.
So that's fun. It's all fun and games until you poison yourself.
It is all fun and games until you poison yourself.
But other than that, just been fine. Just been working, gaming, trying to sort out my workspace. Did you see my Xbox Live sign?
I did see your Xbox Live sign. And does that have something with Sin Vendetta? Because he just super chatted and said, Jez, did you enjoy the shirt? Did he send you a shirt or something too? You don't even know what he's talking about. Top 10 anime betrayals right here.
I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, he doesn't know what you're talking about, Sin. What shirt does he send, Jez? He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
I don't know. If it was like a DM or a mention, I might have missed it because I get a lot sometimes. But yeah, DM me and tell me what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, just same old. What have you been doing?
What have I been doing? Well, I'll say on the screen we got about 40 minutes of Ghost of Tsushima gameplay. Don't worry, there's no spoilers. Although this does take place after the game's over. All I'm doing in the clips is just riding from area to area to just get rid of encampments. So there's no story spoilers or anything. It's just me just kind of fooling around in the game, trying to get more of the. I was thinking about, you know what? I really like Ghost of Tsushima, and I'll talk a little bit more about it because I finished it. But I think I might like it more than Last of Us Part 2, which Last of Us Part 2, like I had a lot of problems with some of the story aspects of. So I might actually go and get all the trophies for it to get the platinum because I like the game that much. It's still not the best PlayStation exclusive in my opinion. I still think that's God of War. But it's a close second, maybe tied with Spider-Man. And granted, I haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn, so I don't know. But I really, really ended up enjoying the game. So the friendly neighborhood Blue Shell says, Jez, Android greater than Apple, right? Devil emojis. I think Jez would agree with that. I wonder if are we going to have a Jez rant today about the whole xCloud stuff?
Well, it doesn't affect me, so I don't really care. But I'm gonna mock Apple extensively and gloat about not being an Apple user. Sure, why not?
And then Beaner8127 says, I don't want my games held back in the new system. Look at wife's pregnancy test. Xbox is consumer friendly, supporting the Xbox One. Okay, thank you for all the support. So, yeah, Jez, a lot of stuff happened this week. We're obviously going to be talking about some Series S and X rumors that were kind of making the rounds a little bit. I figured we'd talk about, and I might even make a video about it tomorrow. And Sin says DM sent, so you now know what he's talking about. Like people lost their minds this week over Spider-Man being exclusive to Avengers. We'll talk about that, or Spider-Man exclusive to the PS4 version and PS5 version technically of Avengers. Apple blocking like all game streaming apps, including xCloud. Microsoft finally responds about Xbox Live Gold being free or potentially changing in some manner. So there's a lot to talk about. And just want to give a shout out to Web Warrior, the newest channel member. Thank you very much. Enjoy your emotes. Anybody else wants to join the channel, just hit that little join button, or there's a little link in the description. And Resident Link Gaming says, lots of people saying new Rocksteady game Suicide Squad will be like Avengers. I personally don't think so, but what do you all think? That's actually a topic, so we'll get into it because Jez, how long ago did I tell you that Rocksteady was working on Suicide Squad? It's been like 2 years, right?
Yeah, I feel like I remember you saying that.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Brian Bucali, the newest member of the channel, welcome, enjoy all the emotes. And DPC Grizz drops a outstanding and very, very generous super chat. It says, long-time listener on iTunes. Great work, gentlemen. Keep it up. Thank you for your for that huge super chat, man. It means a lot. And we do have a lot of people that listen on iTunes and Spotify. Like, we usually upload the day after the show, so if you don't want to listen live on YouTube or watch it on YouTube, we do offer that, and you can listen to it on whatever podcast services that you like. So appreciate the support, brothers. It's always great to see. So, Jez, like I was saying before we get into the topics, everybody, if you would be so kind to hit the like button, share this out on YouTube, because I don't think they're doing a good job of notifications. Hit that subscribe button, notification bell, all that stuff. But we're going to talk about what we've been playing. And Jez, you played a PlayStation game on the PC nonetheless this week, didn't you?
I did. I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, and it is glorious. I haven't played it before. I never got it for my PS4, which is now thousands of miles away in Germany. Man, I'm blown away by how good it is. The combat feels great. Really like the open world. I haven't played it too much yet. I'm gonna dive more into it this weekend. Hopefully, if the temperature drops, because boy, howdy, does it make my laptop hot. Laptop gaming is. Laptop gaming generally comes with the caveat of it's gonna make your PC hot, but this was something else. It was like I physically couldn't touch my laptop after I was playing this thing, and my CPU temps were like 85C or something ridiculous, which is what is that in F? 85C in F is 185.
That is ridiculously hot.
Yeah, it's really hot. So I was like. And that was using the game's recommended settings. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I might wait until it's a bit cooler to play this. Because ambient temperature affects my laptop a lot. Or maybe I should just bite the bullet and get a gaming PC at some point. I don't know. But even on my laptop, like it ran gorgeous. 1080p 60 on my laptop on like high and ultra settings for lighting and effects and stuff like that. Stunning game, great combat, and intriguing story. Really interesting setting. Like I literally didn't know anything about the game aside that it had robot dinosaurs in it. But I'm intrigued to go further in. So there was that. I saw there was some people. Some of the reviews said it had issues like crashing and graphics problems. I haven't had any problems with it whatsoever, apart from the fact that it turned my PC into a boilerplate. But that's my laptop and the summer temperature more than the game, I think. Because like I could run like if I ran Gears 5 on Ultra, it would probably do the same thing. So I don't blame the game for that. But yeah, I didn't have any problems, and I'm gonna play it a bit more at some point. Hopefully, it means Sony's gonna, be putting a few more games on PC in the coming months.
Well, that will be that's exactly the plan, So, but you were impressed with the PC port, right? Playing it in the non-filmic 60 frames, which you
yeah, I decided to sacrifice the 30 frame filmic experience just for the people. Just to test it out.
Just for the culture?
Just for the culture,
Yeah.
Testing it out. But yeah, it's stunning. It's 60 frames, It's just a really cool game. Like, it plays really well. I'm really quite impressed with it. I got some, like, troll tweets, because I tweeted out that I was playing it on PC with an Xbox controller. Which, by the way, like, when you play it with an Xbox controller, it gets all, like, the Xbox buttons up on the UI and stuff. Which, like... almost seems sacrilegious if you're invested in the console war and stuff. And I had some trolls in my mention saying, "Oh yeah, why didn't you play it 3 years ago? Blah blah. You're not a real gamer," and stuff like that. It just cracks me up.
Yeah, why don't you play it 3 years ago? Like, what is the game bad suddenly just because it's like over 3 years old? Is there a warranty date on whether or not a game is good? I never get that. Like, oh, like you didn't play it, it means you didn't care. It's like, no, it's just some things happen, man. Like, I have a large backlog of games, right? Sometimes,
yeah, it's like, it's not like I didn't have anything else to play.
Exactly. It's not like I'm sitting there being like, I have nothing to play. And I just finished Ghosts, and there's only like 2 more games I want to play on the PlayStation 4. And that's it until we move to PS5, and that's Ratchet and Clank and Horizon. But then I started thinking to myself of like, should I even play Horizon right now? It's not like Horizon Forbidden West is coming at launch. It's a 2021 title, and who knows if it'll be early 2021 or late 2021. I was thinking, would it be better for me to just wait and play the upgraded version, presumably if there is one, of Horizon Zero Dawn on the PS5, potentially running that game at 60 frames and looking better, So I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, well, I haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn yet, so it's like, should I just wait until the PS5 remaster or backwards compatibility or upgrade or whatever comes out? Because it's like, it's only a couple months away, presumably until that point. So I might just wait for Horizon to hit the PlayStation 5 and play. Of course, if it doesn't get upgraded or whatever, I might just play it on the PlayStation 4. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's probably worth waiting. You know, it's not like the combat's super tough that you need like the extra frames for, but it's all if the option's there. You know, it's if the option to play at 4K 60 is there, it'd be really nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know me, I'd take the 4K 30 if that was the option.
So Web Warrior says he's surprised Series S hasn't leaked yet with no render. What do you think, Jez? Are you shocked that Series S hasn't leaked? We haven't seen a picture of it yet?
Yeah, I am actually, because I know that Microsoft employees have them. They've been very, very, very good.
I'm surprised you're not reaching out to somebody that you know that has it and being like, there might be a Chris $5 bill in there for you for a picture or something.
$5 bills, like that. That's like outside my budget, man.
Yeah.
But nah, I never ask Microsoft employees for leaks ever, because that is kind of like you're putting them in a really awkward position if you do that.
Yeah.
And it's could get people fired. So I never really do that. But if people offer, I'm not gonna say no, especially when there's all these competitors I've gotta beat, in those mean blogging streets.
Yeah, and you got a new competitor, Xbox Era. The guys who split off from Reset Era and built a Discord and now have their own website and forum. Now you got to compete with them, Jez.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them? Okay.
Never heard of them. No.
Shout out to Special Ed. He's a great guy. Never heard of him though, right, Jez?
No,
never
heard of him. Special Ed. No.
Yeah. Anyways, James Moore. Go ahead. What were you saying, Jez?
I said more like mediocre Ed.
Oh, mediocre. Shout out to James Moore. He says, Microsoft should take Windows 10 seriously. I'm tired of this duopoly between iOS and Android. This xCloud thing shows they can't rely on other people's OSs. Maybe if Microsoft actually got into the mobile phone biz faster or smartphone stuff, it could be iOS, Android, and Windows phones. Like, in some parallel world, it's iOS and Windows Phone, or Windows Phone and Android, or all three of them as maybe like 30-30-30, split, where Microsoft would have their own OS.
If there was room for three, it would have happened.
Yeah,
it's pure economics that it didn't happen.
But in some alternate universe, some parallel world, Windows Phone is the number one phone, right?
Yeah, some parallel world.
Some parallel world, yeah. Milky Way says, hey, Rand and Jez, what day this month do you guys think Xbox's event will be on, and what should we expect? Great show as always. So, do you have any inkling on... See, I'm still not... personally, I don't know when it would be, and I don't know if they... I'm kind of sure they're going to have a presentation, but I don't know what type of scale the presentation would be or what it would be, if it would just be a stream, but I would say probably more towards Gamescom-ish. I don't know, what do you think, Jez? You hearing anything? Any rumors out there?
Yeah, I think there's a fair chance they might try and tie it into Gamescom to help Gamescom, because, Gamescom's not going to sell many tickets this year. So maybe they do it towards Gamescom and actually, make it a Gamescom thing, but honestly don't know. I have no information. I'd expect it further towards the end of the month, maybe again.
Yeah, I mean, Sony just had their State of Play, which most reactions online seem to be pretty negative, or at least mediocre, or ho-hum.
Hang on, didn't Sony were pretty good at managing expectations?
Yeah, but that's the thing about managing expectations. People don't care, or people don't read what, the people that tune up, people see, hey, it's a State of Play, and they go watch it, right? And they don't read what Sony said in the blog about, hey, we're not really talking about PS5, right? And we'll talk about this when we talk about State of Play, because I think there's another reason why people are upset. But I got a question from Nor Alley in chat. It says, Rand, can you please answer my question? Do you agree with me, as an Xbox fan, that timed exclusives aren't a big deal as long as we know they're timed and know when they'll come to Xbox? I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the Spider-Man Avengers thing. I mean, they're not a big deal to me personally. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I think it does matter to a lot of people because if it works because if it didn't, nobody would make these kind of deals. Like Sony buying time exclusivity for Destiny content. And paying a lot of money for that, or the stuff with, Spider-Man, I think does sway people's opinions, and it's supposed to move you and be like, well, instead of getting this game on this console, I'm gonna go get it over here. Personally, it doesn't really bother me that much. But also it depends on the game, like Final Fantasy VII Remake. I had to play it day one on PlayStation. I couldn't wait the year. Even though I knew it was going to come out on Xbox in a year, I still wanted to play it.
You never completed it.
Well, I haven't completed it because I got really addicted to Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone. I got really addicted to Warzone. And I can always go back to it. I mean, it's only been a couple months. But my point is that, like, that affected me to the point where, like, I couldn't wait. And obviously that's going to vary from person to person. If like this Spider-Man thing does nothing for me because I've always thought that the Avengers game looked mediocre from the get-go. And nobody was I'm going to get into a rant with this before we even get to the thing, but nobody was talking about Avengers before the Spider-Man thing. But if Sony came out and be like, hey, Grand Theft Auto 6 exclusive for a year on PlayStation, that would affect me. I would have to probably play that first on PlayStation. But if they came out and said Dragon Quest is exclusive to PlayStation, Dragon Quest 13 or whatever the next title is exclusive to PlayStation, I couldn't give two shits. It wouldn't do anything to me. So it all depends. It all depends on your personal preference and what you want and how hard and how badly you need to play something day one. Apache says Rand did not complete Final Fantasy VII. Not yet. I have not. The year isn't over yet. God, I know I should have, but like, it's really tough when all your friends, like, they're so into Warzone and you're addicted to Warzone, and like, it's very hard to get your friends together to play, like all of them together to play for a game at the same time about stuff, because it's always like maybe 3 people like it or maybe 2 or whatever. So yeah, I haven't finished Avengers, so blame Warzone for that.
Haven't finished Avengers.
I haven't finished Final Fantasy yet.
Future, baby.
I haven't finished Final Fantasy yet. So Jez, anything else you've been playing besides Horizon?
Nothing major. Same old Grounded. Been loving Grounded. Kind of exhausted what there is to do in the game. Got all the best weapons. Got all the best stuff. Explored the whole map. Kind of just waiting for the content drop at the end of August now. But massive potential, obvious potential there. Other than that, I've just been playing Overwatch, man. Just playing Overwatch.
You still love it? You should play that with James Shields. He loves Overwatch.
I don't play with noobs. Sorry, James.
Oh, you shouldn't say that. James is really good. He's really, really good.
I know. I played Minecraft Dungeons with James, and he was like smashing everything to pieces. So. Yeah. James is like pro gamer, man.
James is pro gamer. Definitely is pro gamer.
But yeah, I haven't really been playing anything fresh. Just Horizon, baby. I've been trying to get back into Pillars of Eternity, actually. So I want to learn more about the universe ahead of Avowed. So I installed Pillars of Eternity on my PC as well. But man, it's kind of tough to get into. I think it's a lot of reading. And, my attention span, Rand.
Yeah, I know.
That great.
James says that hurts, Jez. He's listening, and it hurts.
Well, he'll have to jump on and prove me wrong then. Or carry me. Please carry me.
So, the game I didn't get to talk about last week because we had breaking news, like right when the show started or a little bit into it, was Rogue Company. Have you heard about this game, Jez?
Oh
Rogue Company?
yeah. I played Rogue Company actually quite a
Yeah.
bit. It's pretty good. I
Yeah, it's
kind of like.
actually surprisingly good game.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for it to get some balanced patches because some of the classes' abilities are just kind of crazy.
Hmm.
Kind of feels like compared to others, but I think they've got something pretty special there. Like it's really fluid how it plays, and it's kind of like it's interesting. It's not as tedious to me as Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six Siege in that sort of in the sense that it's a tactical shooter. It's kind of like a more accessible tactical shooter. Is kind of how I'm thinking about it at the moment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about it last week because, like I said, we had breaking news. But I really enjoyed the game, and we played that every night for like a week. Gaming Addict says, "Tell Jez to play Overwatch with me. Addict wants to play Overwatch with you, and maybe
Sure,
you can. Did you beat him in Pokemon, or did he beat you?
No, I beat everyone in Pokemon. Man.
Oh,
I'm
you
undefeated.
beat everyone. You beat everyone in Pokemon. All right.
Undefeated.
So it's a 4v4 game. It's currently it's supposed to be free to play, but currently it's kind of in a closed beta-ish thing, but you can actually pay to get access to it. They have like a founders pack for $15 that lets you play, or you can go on Twitch for streamers that are streaming it and get drops, which will give you access to it. There's different kind of bundles. There's like 9 heroes right now, and you get like 5 for the 15, or you get all of them for like the $30 bundle. And essentially it's like Counter-Strike, third-person Counter-Strike. There's the 2 modes that are up right now are like plant and defend, right? Where one team has the bomb and the other team's defending, and you have to win 7 rounds. And each of the characters, it's like a hero shooter, like, because each of the characters have their own set of weapons and their own special abilities and their own ultimates, so to speak, and passive stuff. And in between each round, you get money, and then you buy, perks for your character, like, rolling reloads the gun, or you can take extra damage, or you can carry more ammunition, and then you can upgrade your weapons so they do more damage or less recoil. So there's all the different characters and what they can do. And then, of course, there's like the team deathmatch mode, but it's not like really just like team deathmatch where it's like first to 50. It's like you have 12 respawns. There's a point on the map that you can take control of, and when it counts down, the other team loses a respawn ticket. And the first one...
Yeah, that's the mode I played mainly, the deathmatch. Yeah. And I think like another thing about Rogue Company that makes it stand out is the maps are really well designed. They're really small, which means that like you're constantly in the action. You're not. It's rare that you're like looking for people to kill, which helps with my attention span. And then also there's like there's loads of like pathways through the level. So like if it's clear that they've got one lane locked down, you can sort of loop behind and get into a flanking position and be really sneaky and stuff like that, and use some of your class abilities like put mines down or traps and all that sort of stuff. It's really well designed and really well in that context, but I did feel like some of the classes probably need to be tweaked here and there. But
yeah, there's some classes that are like Lancer. Like Magic was playing as Lancer, and he was destroying when Magic plays, he just destroys people. But he was destroying people as Lancer, and then there's like Scorch, who like her special ability is like she shoots like fire bullets out of her gun, and she just wrecks people. So it's a really fun game. I really recommend it if you got a team before. Obviously, like you kind of do need a team. If you want to go in there with like randoms, it's a little, because it's it's all like the bomb mode is essentially 1 life, right? And that wouldn't be fun with randoms. And the team deathmatch mode, you have a set number of respawns per team. So if you have just one player who's just constantly dying, it's really going to negatively impact like if you can win. And I put about 25 hours into the game. So I played it quite a bit over the last week, but then I got back into Ghost of Tsushima, which is the clip that's playing right now, and I really liked the game, man. Like I ended up really enjoying it. The story was top notch. The ending I thought was so freaking good, and it has a lot of the same tonally like themes with Last of Us Part 2. They're both about revenge, but like one clearly does it a little bit different than the other. And like Ghost of Tsushima is just so well done. Sure, the open world is very much, the Ubisoft formula, like a lot of different question marks, But a lot of them like really help you out. Like you can go to a bath and like get your health increased, or you can find bamboo trees or little bamboo stalks and do a mini game to have more resolve, which lets you heal during a fight or use special abilities. So all in all, I thought the game was pretty damn good, and I'd probably give it like a 9 or an 8.5. I enjoyed it more than Last of Us Part 2. It would definitely be in my Game of the Year discussion. But like for me, there's like no game yet that has come out that is significantly better than any other game. Like for me, when I look at the games I played this year, they're like Ori 2, Doom Eternal, Ghost of Tsushima, they're all like right there together at that like 9 spot, where it's like I enjoyed each one of those games immensely, but I couldn't necessarily say if one was better than the other. You know what I mean? So there hasn't been a game that's come out yet this year that is like, this is the game of the year. This is like when God of War and Red Dead came out, like in 2018, it was like that was just those two games, and those two games were far superior than anything else. That nothing else stood a chance. And even last year, I felt Sekiro was far and away the best game that I played, and it got Game of the Year. So this year, it's kind of like I played a lot of games, and it's like there's nothing truly to me that has just separated itself from everything else. But then again, granted, I haven't played anything on Nintendo, so maybe Animal Crossing's Game of the Year? I don't know.
Why don't you play Animal Crossing then?
I'm not going to play Animal Crossing. That's just not going to happen.
What about for charity?
No, I'm not playing it for charity either. I'll play it for Randall charity.
Randall charity?
Yeah, it means you pay me to play Animal Crossing.
Oh.
Because that's the only way that's going to happen.
Well, I don't think you need any more money with your YouTube millions.
Yeah, my YouTube millions, sure.
I think Cyberpunk will probably change.
Yeah, Cyberpunk is the one game that I'm thinking like might have a chance. I don't think maybe Halo Infinite, but I mean I am a huge Halo fan, so like you're preaching to the choir here with Halo Infinite. So I don't know. Definitely Cyberpunk. I don't think Valhalla will be that special. I don't think Watch Dogs Legions will be that special. I know a lot of people, Half-Life Alyx was probably their Game of the Year. So because of the VR implementation of it and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see what the nominations are at the end of the year. Because doesn't Cyberpunk come out on the day, like the cutoff date for the Game of the Year stuff?
Does it? Well, that's pretty fun.
I'm pretty sure it's like the same day as last year's like Star Wars.
See, that's why I do our Game of the Year awards in December. So like every game has a chance to actually ship first. Yeah. But
someone asked if I hate Nintendo. Is this your first podcast? Is this your first podcast? Maybe Bugsnax, Emperor Zurger's Reich. What about Bugsnax? That could potentially be Game of the Year. Or what about Spider-Man Miles Morales? Even still, like I doubt that game will be nominated because it's supposed to be just a standalone title. So like I don't see it being nominated. And I guess we really need to see what the other launch games are for the next gen systems. Like I couldn't see Demon Souls because that's just a remake. Although Resident Evil 2 was nominated, so I guess it's possible. But we don't really know what games are coming out with the PS5 and Xbox Series X Day 1 outside of Halo Infinite and Miles Morales Spider-Man game. So yeah. I figure, that's enough about Ghosts. I've talked about it 3 weeks now. I highly recommend it. If you got a PlayStation, play this game. If you don't have it, maybe get it for the PlayStation 5. And imagine the only real drawback in this game is the 30 frames, although it maintains it pretty much the whole time. Playing it in 60 would be a completely different experience. And I mean, it's not like the game's perfect. It does have some flaws, like the animations, some of the open world, some of the side missions that aren't Tales. Like the game has Tales, Jez, where it deals with specifically a series of missions with a character that has like a beginning and an end, and they all are really, really good and really well done, right? And those are absolutely 100% worth doing. But then the regular missions that you find in the open world are pretty generic, where they're not fun. It's like, oh, I lost my shoe. Let me go find your shoe for you. I'm a
Lost
samurai.
my shoe.
I'm joking in the sense. It's like not like lost a shoe, but it's just some time killing. Like, hey, go here, find somebody, and then of course you have some of these ones where you're tracking people, and those aren't fun. Where you're just looking at the mud, seeing the foot imprints, or stalking people. Like the main missions are fantastic, and the tales are superb, but like the other kind of side missions, like they aren't very special. So it does kind of have some of that open world repetition in it. So it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely worth playing. Would I cover Lego Star Wars if you have the chance? I stopped playing Lego games. They're all basically the same at this point, so Lego games really don't interest me anymore. But yeah, you know what? Let's transition from the games we're playing to obviously the big topics. And I want to start small first, and then we'll get into the big stuff. Suicide Squad was teased today. Like, out of nowhere, on a Friday, August 7th. Been waiting for this game, for any sort of, trailers or whatever, official announcements in Sony's PlayStation events or Xbox events, and Warner Brothers just drops a poster on a Friday. It's like,
that's so random. If I was a cynical man, if I was a cynical person, I'd say they dropped that tweet to inflate the asking price of Warner Brothers games while they're trying to sell them.
Yeah, right?
If I was a cynical man.
If you were a very, very cynical man.
Yeah.
Oh, so we do. Someone said I missed their super chat. Sorry. Gunstar says, does Craig need his own set piece in Halo now? Yes, Craig needs to be like a secret achievement in that game or something. And I think that would work well. And I missed Apache's super chat. Sorry, just say what it was in the chat and I'll answer it. My bad. I must have didn't see it. I apologize for that. But yeah, Suicide Squad, and the trailer comes out, and it's a picture of Superman with like a target over his head that says Suicide Squad. And the rumor was that game would essentially see you playing as a Suicide Squad, and your mission was to take down and destroy the Justice League. So you'd be going after Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and the Flash, while playing as, like Deadshot or I think was Deathstroke in the Suicide Squad at one point, maybe not. Harley Quinn obviously will most likely be in the game because she's like really big now. Oh, Apache says Alan Wake back Remedy Universe. Indeed, we'll talk about that during the State of Play stuff. I'm so excited for that. But you basically going to be playing as the Suicide Squad villains as they go after the superheroes of the Justice League. And you know what? I'm down for that, man. Like, that sounds like it would be really cool. Now, granted, the rumors are that it's a games as a service, which isn't too surprising in this day and age. You might be able to play that game in co-op. Who knows what it looks like? It's supposed to be announced at this DC Fan Expo thing towards the end of the month. But I don't know. I think that idea on paper sounds absolutely amazing. We'll just have to see what it's like in execution. What do you think, Jez?
I agree. It's interesting because like Suicide Squad was such a bomb as a film, and it sort of almost has this like poisoned brand now. But knowing what Rocksteady can do, it's kind of like, oh well, Rocksteady could probably like redeem it. They're clearly Rocksteady are oftentimes better DC storytellers than Warner Brothers movies arm. So I'm intrigued by it, but I'm not that familiar with Suicide Squad as a story arc or whatever. So I'll be going in completely blind.
It's more adult. It's more adult. It's more like basically they've been captured by the government agency. I forget their name. And they send them out to do their dirty missions, the ones that they officially can't do. And each one of the Suicide Squad members have like in the movies it was an explosive collar, but sometimes they have like a chip in their brain where if they go off mission, like they could die. And in a lot of the comics, obviously, like various villains end up dying during the course of it. So there's always that chance that somebody that you're following in the story arc could just get their brains blown out.
Oh,
So it'll be interesting to see, what the gameplay is going to look like. Hopefully they show the gameplay, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just show some sort of CGI trailer, because I don't think that game's supposed to be coming out anytime soon. Even though it's been literally 5 years since Batman Arkham, like this year, Batman Arkham would have his 5-year anniversary. It's not coming out this year, as far as I know. So it's more of a 2021, 2022 title, probably for next gen. And that's a long wait in between games. No wonder Warner Brothers is trying to sell, because it basically took, Rocksteady 7 years to get out Suicide Squad, and like 8 years to get out the Batman game from Warner Brothers Montreal. Like, that's a lot of money. So, whew.
yeah. See, this is like, sorry, I keep coughing, by the way. This is one thing that sort of makes me think Microsoft wouldn't buy Warner Brothers games, because Microsoft tends to buy studios that can. They need studios that can deliver on a rapid cadence because of Game Pass. And if you if you get into a studio, a pantheon of studios that are sort of like take 5 or more years to make a game, I don't know if that kind of fits with their business model, So, could be wrong, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Neethles. He says he's got to disagree with you on this a bit. Yes, Suicide Squad is a average film. He says meh film, but James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy is about to make it a huge name. That is true. There is another Suicide Squad currently filming, or maybe they just stopped production because of the virus. But
is it a reboot?
It's
or what?
I don't think it's a reboot. I'm about to,
a reboot.
A reboot. A reboot. I think it's a sequel. Because Harley's in it, and
is Jared Leto in it?
No, I don't think Jared Leto's in it. It's basically his vision, but people love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and James Gunn is obviously a big name, so there's a very good chance that, with maybe they are tying the Suicide Squad game to eventually the release of the Suicide Squad film, the whole cross media stuff. So no, but as far as I know, I think the Suicide Squad movie is a sequel. Maybe it's just a soft reboot. I'm not really 100% sure on it. But
I just hate what they did to my boy Joker, man. Like those dumb tattoos and stuff. What was that all about?
I don't know. I mean, David Ayer had a lot of stuff with the Joker that was cut from the final film, and now people are demanding the Ayer cut, like they are with what was it? Who was the guy who did Justice League, and then left? Zack Snyder, the Snyder cut, yeah. So, people are making fun of my Weeboot comment.
Weeboot, that's the next film, man.
Yeah, Neethel says it's basically a reboot. The continuity is weird. Yeah, definitely sounds like it. Because they've only done one of them. So Resident League Gaming says Warner Brothers could have a lot more resources with Microsoft, though, as well, so could be able to push them out faster. I think a lot of the reasons why it's been like this is because, essentially, there's been a lot of canceled projects along the way. As far as I know, Rocksteady had pitched a Justice League game to Warner Brothers, and they declined that. They pitched a Superman game to Warner Brothers, and they declined that. Warner Brothers Montreal was knee-deep in like a Damian Wayne game, Batman Beyond, that they sort of canceled. They were originally working on a Suicide Squad game, which rumor has it, Rocksteady ended up saving. Like, Rocksteady took that game and basically made it their own. So I think there's a lot of I think it more to do with Warner Brothers than with the developers, Jez, about what they want to do rather than like the studios not being able to do it. I think there's a lot of hesitation.
Warner Brothers is like the studio that decided Shadow of War needed microtransactions and stuff. You know,
they do that a lot, don't they?
Yeah, Warner Brothers is kind of like a lame publisher that have studios that are far more talented than they deserve, probably. So I don't know. Maybe Microsoft can elevate them and stuff, but I honestly think it's going to end up being Activision or EA who gets them in the end. I don't think Microsoft will get Warner Brothers. I really don't.
That's a lot of money, especially when they got to save up their money to get TikTok, right?
Yeah, TikTok.
Like, what is going up with all this stuff with TikTok? So, our president basically released a statement or an executive order banning U.S. people from doing business or transactions with TikTok as well as WeChat. And Microsoft has until September 15th to make a deal for is this literally going to is Microsoft going to buy TikTok, Jez? Like what the heck is going on? Do they need to buy TikTok? Are they going to ruin TikTok because Microsoft always kind of ruins things that like
The thing is, right, TikTok is not like it's not like Mixer. TikTok isn't coming from a position of weakness like Mixer is. TikTok is like a market leader in its category. They made something like $20 billion last year. Like TikTok is not some small startup that Microsoft is, hoping to grow. TikTok is like a market leader in its category. And Microsoft's basically buying its way into social media. This is probably the only opportunity Microsoft's ever going to have in for the next decade to get into the social media space. And it's a huge blind spot in Microsoft's portfolio that they've got sorry. They've got hardware pillar, they've got operating system, they've got gaming, and soon they're gonna have cloud streaming and all sorts of stuff and Azure Stack and but they have no webhook really. Like Google's got its search website, Amazon's got its retail website, and Microsoft has no social media graph. They have no website that gets tons and tons of traffic. So that kind of limits them to have to partner with companies like Facebook and things like that for xCloud and stuff, which is a problem. It's always been an issue for Microsoft when they have to rely on other social networks to play nice with its stuff. And Microsoft will be sort of negligent to hope that Twitch always allows Microsoft to play nice with Twitch, and they'd be negligent to just assume YouTube won't start, being dicks with Xbox stuff in the future, So this gives them a way of protecting against that, but also it's kind of it's almost like it's a political thing too, right?
Oh, it's very political.
Yeah, because Trump hates Amazon because of the Washington Post. Is that what it's called, or the Wall Street Journal? I can't remember which.
I think Bezos does own the Washington Post. Yeah.
Yeah. So Trump hates Amazon because of the Washington Post and the whole sort of, Amazon's big enough in that space. Google's also too big and facing its own antitrust stuff. Apple doesn't seem to want it, and then you've got sort of Facebook, which already has too much social media anyway. So the only real... And Microsoft's like a trusted tech company amongst the Trump administration for whatever reason. Microsoft has all the military contracts, and they're known for server security and privacy and data protection and all that sort of stuff. They're sort of like the neutral party who can get TikTok and bring it to, US servers or whatever. But I think it was Bill Gates came out today and said it's a poison chalice because, yeah, Microsoft gets a social network, but because Trump is involved with the deal, does Trump make rules about TikTok? Does he ban people being mean to him on TikTok? Because there's this whole rumor that there's a comedian on TikTok who does Trump impressions, that mock Trump, and there's this whole rumor that Trump doesn't like TikTok because it hurt his feelings and stuff like that. So there's this just bizarre complications with this whole thing, and it's gonna cost them at least, I would estimate, $30 billion or more. It's gonna cost a lot of money, maybe even $50 billion. It's gonna be a huge transaction. And Microsoft could make, even if it costs 50 billion, Microsoft could make its money back pretty quickly in maybe 2 or 3 years or something. And especially if they integrate the video ads platform with Bing, because that's where TikTok makes its money. Every time you open TikTok, you get fed a hard hitting video ad. Every time someone opens that app, and TikTok is something like 50 times bigger than Twitch. So Microsoft would be an overnight player in the social media space, which obviously has ramifications for live streaming because TikTok doesn't have any live streaming yet. It has ramifications for xCloud because you could maybe integrate TikTok and xCloud. And also it's a young audience, which Microsoft has no access to really outside of Fortnite on Xbox, which people don't really associate with Xbox anyway. So it could be amazing, but it could also be terrible. And it's just another bizarre twist in 2020. And that's my thoughts on it anyway.
Yeah. Well, James Moore says Trump considers Bill Gates a friend. Spider-Man says I read a comment where someone blamed Microsoft for xCloud not being on iOS because Microsoft won't follow Apple rules for apps. Great show. We'll talk about that in a minute. And Gunstar says, Jez, please tell Americans how to pronounce Craig. Thanks. How do you say Craig?
Oh, I say Craig.
I say Craig.
Craig?
Craig, whatever. You know, Craig. Like
It's
Craig or Craig?
Craig. 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 It's Craig. How do you guys pronounce it?
Craig? I just say Craig. But I don't know. Maybe it's my Midwestern Chicago thing. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know. Who coined the phrase Craig anyway? Wasn't it like one of Halo's social media managers?
Yeah, it was like, I think it was Sketch.
Sketch. Is he British?
I'm not sure.
That's so random. I wonder where Craig just came from. It's kind of a random name.
Yeah. Fuzzy Belvedere in chat says, do you know how to use the ghost stance? You've lost it numerous times in this gameplay, just making sure. I distinctly didn't use the ghost stance during the gameplay because some people might consider that spoiler, so I didn't bother using it. Otherwise, I'd be using that stuff all the time. Yeah, because the ghost stance is kind of something you get in the story, and I didn't want to show it during gameplay in case people are with spoilers. They might think it was like, oh, you ruined something, so I didn't bother using it. I was just like, well, it's just the stances and like the abilities you can use, which I don't really consider spoilers, and like it's just me clearing out camps. So I didn't want to get people being like, you ruined Ghost for me, Rand, and I'd be like, I did not. So yeah, Ghost stance is pretty cool in that game. It's like you got to kill a certain amount of people to build it up, and then if you get hit, you lose it. So I didn't want to ruin it for anybody.
Did you just ruin it by talking about it?
No, I didn't. Because you wouldn't even know what I'm talking about. If it's like Ghost Stance, people will be like, what's that? Play the game and find out. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Exactly. Play the game and find out. Sin Vendetta says, so I had to fast forward the podcast to catch up. But Jez, how do you like the shirt? And yes, it's real.
He got a shirt with Filmic written on it.
That's pretty badass. Filmic.
You should sell that on the channel.
I mean, it probably should do merch. I mean, I don't know if anybody would actually buy merch from me, but you never know.
What's my cut?
Oh, you want a cut now, huh?
Yeah.
For the Filmic? I don't know. We'll have to talk about that.
I want a slice of the YouTube millions.
Yeah, it's a good thing. There are no millions to split up, though. Now, there is a rumor that we wanted to talk about, or at least I saw. Imran, ex-Game Informer editor, currently he works with Kind of Funny. He put out kind of on their Kind of Funny games cast that they do. They kind of talk about a lot of different things. They do like a daily podcast about the gaming news. And obviously they were talking about the Spider-Man stuff, which we are definitely going to talk about. But he said that if the Spider-Man stuff really bothers you, you might want to hold out your outrage for bigger things that'll be coming, because Sony is throwing money all over the place, and there's going to be a lot more, not only like timed exclusive content for games, but also games that were pretty much always accepted as multi-platform games that Sony has now paid to be timed exclusive. So, Jez, wow. I mean, last week we talked a little bit about that, and Reset Era put up a thread about what you said. Remember? Your admirers over at the Reset Era, they love you.
Oh, what did I say now? Can't remember.
I mean, I talked about which nobody. It's funny. I was reading that thread. Nobody even mentions me. They're just like Jez Corden. They love you, man. You're big. You're big time, and nobody cares about little old Rand. I said that people were going to be very upset when Final Fantasy 16 is announced as a timed exclusive, and people. Yeah. People were, they just thought I was speculating. Like, no, I'm not really speculating about that. I'm pretty positive Final Fantasy 16 is timed. And I'm pretty sure, although I'm not going to mention what other games Sony has paid for, but what Imran says is pretty close to the truth. Sony's going all out, spending a ton of money on a ton of games, and this Avengers thing is just one thing of many that is going to be announced. Now, a lot of people in that thread, a lot of people on Twitter were saying, oh, is Call of Duty going to be exclusive to PlayStation? Please. Call of Duty exclusive? That's not how Bobby Kotick rolls. You know, the game is going to, in my opinion, the game will be everywhere. Maybe there'll be exclusive content for the PlayStation version, but I don't think that game's going to be exclusive. And then, of course, the other one was, oh, this means Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be exclusive to PlayStation.
Well, hang on. What if Activision's like, well, we don't want to compete with Halo Infinite, so let's take Sony's money for a little while until that Halo Infinite thing blows over and make Call of Duty a timed exclusive.
Do you really think Activision is scared of Call of Duty? Activision is scared of Halo. They've killed Halo since 2007. Halo's been a blip in their radar, in their rearview mirror since 2007.
What if they've seen Halo Infinite? What if they've got a leak and it's the best thing ever? What if there's like a 300 player cloud-based battle royale mode that Activision just can't compete with?
I mean, okay, if we're entertaining this idea, sure. If Call of Duty is that scared because their game is subpar, because they had to turn it around in 2 years instead of the usual 3, and because of the quality of the game that they think nobody will really buy it after amount of time, so why not take Sony's money and have Call of Duty exclusive for X amount of time? Possibly, but I just don't see it. Like, because the game, like...
So what franchise could it realistically be then?
I mean, Final Fantasy 16 is obviously one. Even though that's only really been multi-plat since, I don't know, like 10 years now. If maybe... It seems like Sony and Bethesda are a little buddy-buddy. Is it possible the next Elder Scrolls could be timed?
Oh, man. That'd be a lot of salt.
I mean, yeah, there'd be a lot of salt. Like, there might be individual games that, people are really salty about the Destiny content that was locked off for a year. They're obviously really upset about the Spider-Man stuff. There's other games that Sony is going to be doing that type of things with. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I obviously Grand Theft Auto 6 is like the juggernaut, right? If Sony were somehow able to buy Grand Theft Auto 6 exclusivity, I mean, that could change everything, because that's how big that game is. But they'd have to cut an absolutely enormous check to get that game for any sort of exclusivity. And I think they already spent their money on getting Grand Theft Auto Online free to PlayStation users for like that first 3 months. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's only... They're doing this because they kind of want everybody to get on PlayStation 5 immediately. So they're making all these deals because they want you to choose PlayStation 5 basically right away over the Series X.
Because, like, what does... I mean, everyone with Xbox Series X, you can point to Halo Infinite, right? Mm-hmm. But what can you really point to for PlayStation 5 right now, except for, like, Miles Morales, which is basically a DLC? I mean, personally, I just do not get even slightly excited for that. So what would you get excited for as a PlayStation 5 game that's coming soon?
Well, I mean, obviously, Spider-Man is a big thing. A lot of people would be really excited for Demon's Souls.
Demon's Souls is still kind of like... I know it's a big game, but like if we're talking about wider market sort of game here, like your Call of Duty or your Grand Theft Auto.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, what is the Sony hardcore looking forward to? They're looking forward to the promise of the sequels that
they're gonna get it anyway.
Right? Yeah, I know.
I'm talking about that crowd that's still maybe on the fence.
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, most Sony fans will be like, I'm looking forward to Horizon 2 and God of War 2 and maybe Ghost of Tsushima 2 or Infamous 3 or a SOCOM or Naughty Dog's next game or Uncharted 5 or whatever.
We were talking specifically about. He was talking specifically about multi-platform games as well.
Right, but I mean, there's so many multi-platform games. Like, your mind goes to just like a few, like Final Fantasy, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Batman's, your Watch Dogs, your Ubisoft yearly, bi-yearly games, Assassin's Creed,
But
games that have been.
something like FIFA. No.
No. FIFA. Jeff Grubb. It's funny because Jeff Grubb said that Sony was mad at FIFA. Sony was mad at EA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he tweeted that Sony was mad at EA, that they were upset that Madden showed up at the Xbox thing in May, and in retribution they pulled FIFA from the June event.
What?
And and if you notice, during the State of Play right before it's EA dropped the official FIFA gameplay trailer. And he tweeted out that he thought Sony and EA would make up, but apparently they haven't.
Huh.
Which is interesting because that's something I didn't hear. But it may, and Jeff hears a lot of stuff, and he's usually right about a lot of things. And not everybody's always 100% right about everything. I mean, hell, like, how long did I say Splinter Cell was going to be a thing? Even though I knew somebody who had worked on the game and played it, and I was pretty confident it was coming out, and nothing. We still haven't seen it yet. So I'll take my L for that sort of thing. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would love to hear more about the backstage politics of companies.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like, why would Sony be pissed at EA for showing up at Microsoft's event? And then to the point where it's like they're pulling FIFA from their June one, which would have been big for them. They would have gotten a lot. Well, that's not like they need a lot of eyes on FIFA. So, just prepare yourselves. Like, I don't know when this stuff is getting announced, but Sony's spending money like crazy, and Microsoft is trying to answer them. I mean, they've done deals of their own, but because Microsoft's user base is not as big as Sony's, they got to pay more money for it. That's kind of the thing that PlayStation has in their back pocket. They're the market leader. They got 120 million some odd PlayStation 4s. A lot of people pegged the PlayStation 5 to be the winner of next gen, basically outselling Series X and Lockhart by 2-1. So they can go to publishers and get deals done for a less amount than Microsoft can, just because of the drastic user base differences. Now that may change in the future if Microsoft's whole Series X and Lockhart really kind of take off. Then you have the whole PC thing, and Microsoft, the PC games do really well. And then if xCloud explodes over the course of time, Microsoft could leverage that to get deals. But it definitely seems like the two are currently fighting to, and it'd be good for developers because essentially you're getting paid. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of the articles about Game Pass, but there's this developer yesterday who was just like, yeah, my game's not even out yet. They came to me, they gave me a huge sum of money. Now the game's profitable and I'm all good. And it's like, now's the time. If you're not doing, it seems like money is just being thrown at people for exclusive content and exclusive games, whether it's by Microsoft and Sony themselves or going into a service like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff there. Adam says if they do that, Microsoft would need to really try and get more deals as well. They already showed a little with Stalker and such, but they can't rest. That is true. I mean, we've saw some deals that they've done at the May and July event, and they're going to be continuing to do some more too. But it just really depends on how big the deals are for, that Sony's cutting. There's going to be more, and it really depends. Depends on if it affects you. Some people will, some people won't care, and some people will care a lot, and there'll be cries of anti-consumer heard across the world. Because because I don't know if that's another thing, the whole anti-consumer thing. Like, if you don't like something, apparently it's always anti-consumer. Jay Blatter 154 says, "Hey, who is your graphics designer?" Well, on the intro video to my in my intro to my videos, that is the one and only, the amazingly talented Sean LeBrie. He did that intro on my videos. And Cold Eastwood has done a lot of the emotes that we have for the channel here. He's also done my my like picture, and he does a lot of my thumbnails as well. So Cold Eastwood, Sean LeBrie, you can't go wrong. Going with either one of those guys for any of your artistic choice. Because I don't have an artistic bone in my body, one bit. Like I'm not good at any of this stuff. So, what would be big for you, Jez? If Sony came out and said we got this game time, what would really get under your skin for a game that was multi-platform that Sony got? Like what would really bother you?
Man, that's kind of tough. Like, I'm kind of in the position where I'm kind of like you, where I don't really care about timed exclusives. It's not like I have any shortage of things to play between first party and third party. I'm gonna have enough stuff to play, so it's not like there's gonna be a game where I think, oh no, my life's over because Sony money hatted a game. But like, I think if there was all these rumors about Kojima doing Silent Hill again and stuff like that, or there being some kind of Silent Hill game, like I would be kind of gutted if that went PlayStation 5 exclusive, because I ain't getting a PlayStation 5 for at least a couple of years, or maybe more. But even then, it's kind of like Silent Hill. I'll probably play it like once and then never again. So I'll probably just wait for it to come to PC anyway. I really don't know. I don't think there's anything that would really bother me too much. Like even Grand Theft Auto, I'm more of a Red Dead guy. If Red Dead Redemption 3 was exclusive, oh, Rand's gone.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that, like, if I'm not even a big Grand Theft Auto guy. If like Grand Theft Auto was exclusive, I wouldn't really care that much either. If Red Dead Redemption 3 was exclusive, then I might be more bothered. If something like Elder Scrolls was exclusive, I'd be pretty salty. Or Fallout 5, maybe. I'd be salty about that. But mainly no. I don't really care. I mean, is there anything that you'd be particularly salty about?
Well, here's the thing. I'm getting both systems day one, so I wouldn't be necessarily salty about anything because I'll just play it wherever I want to play it. If I want to play it on PlayStation, I'll buy it and I'll play it. If I want to wait to get it on X, because obviously, like, I would rather play it on Xbox. I think the controller is better. I love achievements and don't care about trophies. So, like, if I had a choice, I'd play it on Xbox, but because I would have a PlayStation 5, it really wouldn't matter. Obviously, like, I want Xbox to do great this generation. I want their first-party studios to really grow and start putting out really great exclusive games for the platform. And, if Sony's out there really trying to convince users to jump over the platform by time money hatting, multiplats to make them time exclusive, that would definitely suck for Xbox. And some people would definitely be like, well, I'm going to need a PlayStation for it. But it wouldn't necessarily bother me too much because, like imagine it like Batman. Batman would be like, or like the new Rocksteady game, because I'm a huge fan of Rocksteady. If somehow Suicide Squad was on PlayStation first for a year and not Xbox, that might make me a tad bit upset, just because that game's supposed to be co-op focused, and like all my friends who would play it with me are on Xbox. So in that regard, like, I don't really play multiplayer games on PlayStation, and I don't want to have to pay for PlayStation Plus. So that might make me upset, because then it costs me more money and I wouldn't have anybody to play it with on that side. But if it was just
when you said that, I just thought of a game that I would be salty about, and that's if Diablo or Monster Hunter was exclusive, then I would be salty. If Monster Hunter was exclusive, I would get a PlayStation 5 straight away.
Yeah, I mean, they have a very tight relationship with, and if you look at Capcom's financials, like 80% of their games sell on PlayStation. So it wouldn't cost much to get them, exclusive or whatever it is. I'm just saying, like, if it was Suicide Squad and it was just single player, I wouldn't care. But if it was some sort of co-op and you had to play it with your friends, I'd rather play it on Xbox, and then it would force me to get PlayStation Plus, so I wouldn't be like, but no, because I'm getting both, I can play whatever game I want, whenever I want, how I want. If I want to play it on PC, I got a PC. I'm going to be upgrading my PC soon, so it doesn't really matter to me. So, yeah, I'll just play it wherever.
literally paranoid that Monster Hunter's going to be
You never
twice
know. I mean, Sony's spending money like crazy. We haven't seen even the beginning of it. This is like Avengers thing is just the start. Mike says, aren't most third-party multiplats going to be available for PS4? How is the timed exclusive supposed to help sell PS5s? Well, this is supposed to be PS5 stuff. Obviously, the Avengers thing is a cross-gen title, but we're talking about games that are supposed to just be for the PlayStation 5. And obviously, there are some games. Well, I mean, Sony money-handed Bug Snacks. I mean, that game's gonna push PS5s.
Did that actually money hat it, or is
it's
just
timed
like,
exclusive. Go. I mean, I don't know. It's a smaller developer. Okay. Obviously, there's differences between.
It's a timed exclusive, like indie games often.
Sure. Indie games are a little bit different. Like those need development funds. I get that, and that doesn't get like those. Fine, do that, but like Capcom doesn't need extra money. You know what I mean? Like Rockstar doesn't need extra money, or any of these big like Ubisoft doesn't need extra stuff. Like that's just straight up. We're paying you to not put the game on Xbox. So like, you know, Little Devil Inside or The Medium or whatever, like the smaller games, like I'm cool with that. Like it helps them because they're small developers, and it doesn't really, like I said, I'll get it on whatever platform I want. But yeah, like I guess it's maybe a different story when it comes to the big publishers. Let me see here. I got a couple other super chats I need to hit because, you know, I appreciate all the support, and I at least want to read out your comment. JD Gamer says, if Microsoft gets Warner Brothers and other rumored studios like IO Interactive, Asobo, Techland, a Japanese studio likely from Software, they're more AAA studios than Sony. That would be true, but I would set your expectations that, like, this is the thing. It would be amazing if they did get all those studios. But in reality, maybe they get one of those. And more than likely, maybe they get none of those. So while it's nice to dream about Warner Brothers and Asobo and From Software joining Xbox Game Studios, more than likely the reality is none of them will. And then you're going to be sitting there being like disappointed because you thought it was going to happen. Right? Am I wrong on that, Jez?
No, I agree. I think it's better to just assume nothing for now. And at the end of the day, it's the amount of studios that Microsoft acquires is just sort of like ammo to argue about on the internet, really. At the end of the day, what really matters is the games and stuff. Like, even if they did buy some of these studios, the games wouldn't even end up being exclusive for several years anyway. So, you know, it'd just be like an investment for the future thing.
Yeah.
Maybe Microsoft should get aggressive and pay for timed exclusivity, even though, like, Phil basically said he doesn't like doing it, and if he does it, then he'll end up being a hypocrite. You know,
they should. I know Phil doesn't like doing that, but they should, because if you're not going to, Sony's just gonna go in there and snatch up all the deals.
Yeah.
So it's like, I understand you don't want to do it because you don't feel that's right, but this is business after all. And if your competitor's literally going to go out there and scoop up everything they possibly can to make your platform less enticing for hardcore gamers, especially the hardcore gamers that actually buy tons of stuff, then you need to go out there and compete for their dollars. You know, that's kind of the way I see it. Jesse Darby says State of Cartoon. And Sin Vendetta says, please tell me that when September starts, we'll have the price, release date, and pre-order info for both Series X and PS5. I mean, I hope so. I really hope so. Like, you would think the system's coming out in November that we would know sometime this month when they're going to release and when pre-orders will be open. I mean, I did that video earlier this week about Telstra, the Xbox partner in Xbox All Access for Australia, how they texted their customers that pre-orders were going to be opening up soon. I think we'll get that information this month from Xbox. I think it'll be towards the end of the month. But it really does seem like this is a back and forth between Sony and Xbox. For whatever reason, neither of them want to give each other's price first.
This
And
isn't making me nervous that both consoles are going to be more expensive than we think.
or one of them is waiting to just undercut the other, right?
I don't know. I don't know if you can just do that though.
I mean, you never know, man. Like, they are really waiting until like the last minute here to tell us the pricing of these consoles. And I'm sitting here being like, well, it could be you're right. Maybe they don't want to tell these people that the consoles are $500 or $600. Like, if that was the case, I wouldn't want to tell my customers that, right? They don't want to be the first to say $500 or even the first to say $600. But then, like, both of them might be looking at each other like, well, you go first, because if you're going to say 500, I'm going to come in and say 450. Or if you come in and say 450, I'm going to say 399. Or I need to know what I'm pricing Lockhart at. So if you say 399, I didn't make sure that thing's 299. And if you're going to say 500, then I can have Lockhart at 350. Right? I don't know. There's so many different like scenarios that could play out, and neither of them wants to like tell us about it. And so everything's hold up. Like, they haven't even announced Lockhart yet. The system that Jez has been talking about forever, that's I've been talking about for a while, that people are testing internally at Xbox, that there's code for in the OS, and it's in the June game development kit. Like, it basically exists. I know people have seen it. I've talked to them. And it's not, they haven't even revealed yet. And we don't even know if it's coming out this year. You would assume it has to come out this year.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's going on? Even Sony, like, the ones who are like not scared of anything, like, they seem to be timid about giving price. Why? Are you worried that Xbox is going to undercut you? Like, but you shouldn't be worried, because you're more than likely going to. Are you worried because is that why you're spending all these are you spending all this money on all these timed exclusives because you're worried what Xbox, if they undercut you by $50, like, that's going to be a significant thing that people overseas will suddenly choose? Like, what's going on here with this whole?
I think for PlayStation fans, I think the encouraging thing is that Sony isn't being complacent, which is what really screwed them with the PlayStation 3, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. They're not being complacent. Yeah.
So if I was a PlayStation fan, I'd be sort of like, well, this is like kind of cool that they're still taking the competition seriously, you know. But at the same time, it is strange that they're not really. No one wants to budge on this yet. It's so weird. Like, because we didn't have an E3 this year, all the rules have gone out of the window.
That is true, yeah. And I think a lot of it also to do with COVID as well. Dometic says Microsoft should focus on making great games and having them play better on Series X. Not following Sony's tactics will make them look grimy in the long run. Yeah, but the thing with that is, like, I don't really think most people look at Sony really grimy. I think it's just a little vocal minority here on Twitter. I don't really think the majority of users, number one, know about it or care about it. In the mass market, all the mass market sees is Spider-Man's only on PlayStation for Avengers. They don't know about deals. They just know that it happened. They don't know about Sony doing all this stuff. It's only like the people who really pay attention, like us, that know about it. But for the regular audience, they don't know, and probably they don't care even if they did know. That's the thing. Like, I know a lot of it here with the hardcore gamers on Twitter, listening to the podcasts, the videos. Like, you're so informed, and you hear all this stuff, and it's almost like an echo chamber where you find like-minded people, and I think this is anti-consumer and wrong, and then somebody says the same thing, and you hear it from so many people that you think it's the truth. But then when you talk to like a regular gamer who doesn't know about this stuff, like, they don't care. They think it's cool. Am I wrong in saying that?
Nope.
Nope. It's kind of the truth. So, on that note, like, I guess we'll just talk about. Ralph says give casuals more cred, Rand. I don't know. Like, I have casual friends who play games, and I ask them all the time if they don't really follow a lot of this stuff. So, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying casual's wrong. I'm just saying I don't think they care about this sort of stuff that we all do. So That's my opinion on it, but that's the kind of the way I look at it. Like I don't think they get up in arms about Spider-Man being exclusive to PlayStation 4 or Medium being timed exclusive for Xbox. They just are going to play the games where they're at. They're not even going to know about any of that stuff. And Kratosby even says most people don't even care about 60 frames. That's true. They don't.
Well, I tell you one game that did make a big impression. That's Stalker 2. Like I've had like quite a few DMs from people in Eastern Europe who have been like, "Oh God, everyone I know is now hyped on Xbox and exploring Xbox All Access and stuff like that." And like if you look at Stalker 2's trailer on YouTube, it's got almost as many hits as Halo. Like I had no idea how big that franchise was until yeah. So I think exclusives do matter. They definitely do matter, and I think whatever Sony has up its sleeve could be pivotal, in some ways. But I also think that we've talked before about digital lock-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Xbox has a reasonable number of consoles it knows that it can sell to existing Xbox gamers. It probably knows, like, okay, we know all these users are engaged and they're going to want to bring their library forward. They've got all digital games and they're not going to want to lose that. So we can reasonably expect these people will upgrade to an X. And also, if they're like Xbox All Access people, then they're going to get it anyway and stuff like that. There's a reasonable amount of people that they can expect are just going to buy an Xbox outright, regardless of what exclusive Sony has. But then it's things like the Spider-Man thing. Like Spider-Man is like such an icon, and it's a really simple narrative. It's like Spider-Man exclusive PlayStation, deal with it. That's a really simple marketing narrative that Sony can push to no end. And Microsoft doesn't really have an answer for that. Like they've got Halo, but Halo's been in decline and needs to prove itself again. So I'm sure Halo will, but at least at launch, there's certainly a question about whether or not Halo still has the same pulling power that it used to have.
No, I mean that we'll find that out. And I guess we'll talk about the Spider-Man stuff after I read through some of these super chats. Sample says, "When do you expect we'll see game announcements from Compulsion, In Exile, the Coalition, and the Initiative?" I would say Compulsion, In Exile, and Coalition maybe more than likely next year at the earliest. Probably next year for Compulsion, maybe 2022 for In Exile's game, because that's supposed to be farther away. The Initiative game, I would say it's this year, and if it's not this month, it'll be at the VGAs, I think. And the Coalition would probably be either next year or 2022, in my opinion, depending on how much more time they have to make Gears 6. Like, they've been working on a 3-year turnaround, and I think that's hampered development a little bit in the multiplayer single player side. And since Xbox has a lot of the studios by that point in time up and running, maybe they give Gears 6 extra time to be a better game than 5 was. Because I don't know if you've seen some of the reactions, but the newest update to the multiplayer, people really seem to enjoy now, Jez. They've gotten rid of... Have you? Or...
I haven't seen. Like, what's the deal?
I don't know. I think they changed a lot of the way the money stuff works. It's a lot easier to get stuff. I know I've been reading a lot of positive remarks about the latest update or Season 5 for Gears. So maybe they got, like, I know the lead multiplayer designer left and Rod left. Maybe there was some turmoil at the studio about how to do stuff, and now that they're gone, those people can implement their ideas, and now it seems that people really like it. I mean, if you're still playing Gears in chat, let me know. If you're still playing Gears and if it's better. But that's something people have been tweeting me and messaging me about, that like the latest Gears update has made the multiplayer like really good. And it's so, like, I think there's a possibility Gears, instead of being 3 years like you would assume 2022 for Gears 6, maybe it's 4 years this time. They give them the extra time to really work on the multiplayer and kind of change the single player in the ways they have to by giving them extra time. So I guess it really depends.
I would like that. And also they've got more studios, so like before it was like Gears had to do a bit of heavy lifting while they were working on Halo Infinite. With Halo Infinite, this platform now, they can drop. Presumably, Halo Infinite updates can fill in some of the gaps in the I don't know what you call it, the schedule, so to speak. So maybe that gives Gears more development time to actually become something special and less of filler, I guess. Because I always felt like Gears is this amazing franchise that sort of always plays second fiddle to some other leading franchises for Xbox brand, and it feels like it's had all this potential that it just needs a little bit more love and time to bake in the oven, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Special Ed says you never heard of me. He's here. He must have gotten DM'd or something that Jez was talking about mediocre Ed. What'd you call him? Mediocre Ed?
Yeah.
Plain old Ed.
Average Ed.
Average Ed, not Special Ed. Yeah. Alex Sawyer says Microsoft can't allow Sony to make a timed exclusive with these massive franchises like Starfield and Elder Scrolls and GTA. I wouldn't see something like Starfield. That's a new IP. I don't think they'd want to make that timed exclusive. But hey, you never know with Elder Scrolls and Grand Theft Auto. That'd be a huge check. I just can't see Grand Theft Auto being exclusive. Maybe exclusive modes or stuff. Maybe exclusive content within Grand Theft Auto 6. But not like the whole game itself. I think that game's so expensive that the check you would have to cut would be ridiculous, and it wouldn't be worth it in that regard. Although, I mean, if you got it exclusive for 6 months, I mean, that honestly, like that would, if Sony came out and said Grand Theft Auto 6 is exclusive to PlayStation for a year, PlayStation 5, pack it up, gen's done. They might as well just stop selling Xboxes at that point. Because, like, the amount of people who are going to go to PlayStation 5 for Grand Theft Auto, the biggest franchise in gaming, would be astronomical. Like, it wouldn't... that's just my opinion, of course, but I think that would be horrible for Xbox, but more than likely...
It would be rough. It would be rough.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite would need to really blow up, and they'd need, like, all the Twitch people singing its praises and talking about how great it is. Basically, like, forcing people to get an Xbox Series X to play it or get a PC upgrade, and most people will probably just take, the Xbox One version or whatever, because it's going to be on, it's cross-gen as well. So I think Halo Infinite would need to really blow up and really be something special to offset that damage, because that would be massive damage.
But then again, I mean, when is Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out anyways? Couple years from now, maybe it wouldn't be that big, but if they made the announcement, though,
yeah, the announcement alone would be like, okay, well, I need to switch now.
Yeah, pretty much.
That would be hard for Microsoft to come back from, I think.
Yeah, if that would be the one franchise, I'd be like, that's a game changer. You need to go get 100%. Like any game.
The only way Microsoft could come back from that realistically is a significantly cheaper Xbox Series X, ditching Xbox Live Gold at the same time, and having Halo Infinite blow up. They'd need a response. They couldn't just soak that and hope it would go away. They'd need some kind of response to it. So the salt on that would be palpable.
Repentancy says, buy yourself a sandwich. I will. We didn't mention the Xbox Diet Podcast going good. I haven't cheated on my diet. Don't eat sandwiches anymore. Just eggs for breakfast and chicken, broccoli, and rice for dinner with steak, rice, and broccoli for dinner. Or what? Either way, lunch or dinner, doesn't really matter. No sandwiches for me, sir. But I appreciate the support. We obviously we're going to talk about the Spidey stuff. So this wasn't really a surprise to me. Not saying that I knew it was happening, but I expected it to happen. And of course, like I know that Crystal Dynamics was coming out and trying to explain it away today, or yesterday or the day before, about why they chose. It's like, oh, this wouldn't have, what'd they say? Like this event, like Spidey wasn't going to be in the game until, PlayStation came to us. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. Like, am I supposed to sit here and believe that in an Avengers game you weren't going to have the most popular Avenger, Spider-Man? I mean, get out of here. Like, obviously the deal's the deal and whatever. Everybody should have kind of expected this to happen. But honestly, the big takeaway for me, right, was how many people suddenly cared about Avengers. Because before this announcement, nobody was talking about Avengers at all. In fact, most people said that the game looked very mediocre, that the combat didn't look like it have any impact. Nobody was really looking forward to the game. And then suddenly Spider-Man, a character coming in 2021, and now there's this big, huge conversation. And maybe that's smart on Crystal Dynamics to have that, because here's a game that was getting no traction, and now suddenly it's the topic of conversation. So, smart on them. They get a bunch of money.
I suppose it's like PlayStation gamers now feel the game's for them.
Yeah.
And Xbox gamers now have something to be mad about. Because let's face it, people like being mad.
They do like being mad. Yeah.
Like, I didn't care about Avengers before then, and I still don't care about it now. Because, like you say, I'm not a Marvel fan anyway. I don't care about the movies. I don't care about the universe. I'm just not a Marvel guy. I'm more of a DC guy. But even if the game looked amazing, it's like, who cares? It's just a character, It just sucks that it's always like, it always seems to be Xbox gamers who have to be on the receiving end of this kind of stuff, Like, it's never Xbox gamers never have like something that's theirs or exclusive to them, and that's like partially because I suppose Phil's been on record as saying he doesn't like those kind of deals, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, well, how does that help us? It's like you said before, it's business at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as business, and I don't even blame Sony. You know who I blame for this? Square Enix.
Oh,
because they're obviously the one who has to accept the deal. Sony is going to be like, we got money to spend. We want to give it to you. And Square Enix is the one that's got to accept. It takes two to tango. So I know everyone's upset at Sony because they're the easy target. But look at Square Enix history. They love doing this sort of time exclusivity, exclusive content stuff. I mean, Rise of Tomb Raider, the new Project Gita game from Square is exclusive. Babylon Falls is exclusive to play. They love doing this type of stuff. So
I love it.
It's no surprise. Like, of course, they're going to take the money. And yeah, Spider-Man is kind of entrenched in the PlayStation thing, so it makes sense from that regard. So I don't really blame Sony on it. Like, Sony's out there trying to make the platform, people to choose their platform over the others. They're looking at competition. Now, sure, you can say they're doing it in the wrong way, or they're not building anything. They're just really taking something away from somebody else, which is essentially true. But I blame Square Enix in this. They're the ones accepting the money and giving exclusive content.
Sony have a platform to build. It's like, it's really not their fault. And like, if it works for them and it works for their business, and ultimately they're responsible for, keeping the lights on and making sure people can have wages to take home. And if that strategy is working for them, it's their business,
Yeah.
But there was no real need for Square Enix to do this. It's sort of driven by needless greed at the end of the day.
And I'm not even. And how much is it really going to affect sales of the game on either platform? I don't really think. I mean, have you seen a lot of the impressions of the beta? It's not very good.
Yeah, I haven't really seen any positive comments about the game so far.
But then again, has any games as a service launched really good to start with? I'd imagine Avengers might be one of those games where in a year from now, it's probably really good when there's more characters and they know what people want. Because I can't even think of one service game, except for maybe Apex Legends, that launched like great.
World of Warcraft.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I
know, actually, World of Warcraft had like 4-hour server queues on launch day, so maybe that doesn't count.
I'm just saying, like, Rainbow Six Siege didn't launch great. Fortnite didn't even have Battle Royale right away. That took a while.
Overwatch?
I guess Overwatch, yeah. But even still, like, yeah, maybe Overwatch.
The game.
But for the most part, like, a lot of the Anthem didn't launch very good, right? So, I guess it's like hit or miss. So, I think the reviews will really whatever the reviews are for this Avengers game will really hurt or help what it is. And I don't think Spider-Man's gonna do. Because maybe it does more for PlayStation when it actually comes out, because it's coming out in 2021. So
games with a brand attached to them always tend to do well. Like,
well, it is Avengers, yeah.
Just the simple virtue of the fact that it's Avengers. It doesn't matter how bad the game is. Just because it's Avengers, it's probably going to do at least decently well. But I don't know.
Yeah. Alex Sawyer.
That's the long and short of it.
Alex Sawyer says, I'm also calling it now, just like how survival mode in Modern Warfare is exclusive for a year to PlayStation. The Zombies mode in the new Call of Duty will be PlayStation exclusive mode. Yeah, I could see content within PlayStation, within Call of Duty being exclusive to PlayStation. I could see that.
People would be salty about zombies being exclusive.
Yeah, people would be salty. Faisal says new Superman game will have PS5 exclusive DLC. You mean the new Suicide Squad game? Because I'm pretty sure there's not a new Superman game. So, but yeah, personally, I didn't care about the Spider-Man thing. It doesn't. I'll get Avengers to play it, but like I'm not that big of a fan. Like, one character is not gonna do anything for me. Like, I'll still get it on Xbox. I don't really care.
It's the content. What annoyed me about it is just the contempt that Square Enix seem to repeatedly show Xbox fans. Like, Xbox fans still buy their games. They still went out and bought Final Fantasy 15, even though it was mediocre as hell. They still went out and bought, like, you know, all these other games that they published. Like, poor with Deus Ex, Mankind Divided being like a rush job and all this stuff. And then they do this kind of stuff because rather than just put the effort in and make a good game and, you know, invest in it, they're like, oh, well, you know, this is risky. We need to take this money instead of actually just making a good game, you know. So I'm just not a big fan of Square Enix in general lately. I can't remember the last time I really, really enjoyed a Square Enix game. I think like they've become a sort of lazy, middle of the road dev. Like, I thought Final Fantasy 15 was just kind of bad. Final Fantasy 7 remake was great up until the very end. You know my feelings on that.
Yeah.
But the game overall was great. But that's it though. Like, Final Fantasy 7 remake's the only Square Enix game I've enjoyed recently, I think, that I can remember.
East Coast says, I don't care what anyone says about Phil, but Don Matrick was definitely more aggressive on exclusives and exclusive content. I'd agree with you on exclusive content. He kind of started that whole trend about like maps early for Call of Duty. Exclusives, well, I mean, there are no exclusives anymore for Xbox, and it's been like that since 2016. And if you actually go back and look, after Don took over from Peter Moore, I think you might have a warped perspective on how many exclusives he actually brought, because it wasn't that many. There was a lot of early exclusives under Peter Moore that weren't on PlayStation, like Ghost Recon, Warfighter, and Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, and Saints Row, and BioShock, which is probably what you're remembering, because there was a ton of those, but those were all done essentially under Peter Moore. And in the year before PlayStation 3 actually launched, and then PlayStation 3 at the beginning was horrible, and that you had devs saying that they should cancel it. Activision was like, I'm thinking of pulling support. But actually, when Don Matrick took over, like exclusive, like first party content more or less started drying up, and then you started getting to Kinect. And yeah, we had a lot of exclusive Kinect games, but nobody gave a shit about those. I hated those. I was always cringing tuning into an E3 because we'd always be treated to some Kinectimals demo or some stupid Dance Central thing. So I think a lot of people have they're looking back on that with some rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah, and you got to remember, like, I think some people are sort of remembering the Fallout DLC as exclusive and stuff. I think that was just a consequence of the fact that they couldn't
run on PlayStation 3. Yeah,
like it was so much work and investment to get it running even vaguely okay on PlayStation that Bethesda just thought, screw it, you know. Yeah, and they did eventually bring it. I don't think that was actually a timed exclusivity deal. More, it was just like, well, Bethesda's engine sucks, you know.
And
So
21st says, yeah, and guess what? That's when Microsoft was doing their best. Yeah, that's when they were doing their best. Like Don Matrick did have. I mean, Don Matrick did a lot of things right. The marketing stuff obviously worked. He inherited a platform that had a year head start from Peter Moore and all the things that him and Jay Allard set up. PlayStation was obviously struggling. That helped out, right? I mean, PlayStation launched like $500, $600, and the 360 launched at like $400, I believe it was. So they were significantly cheaper. So they had a lot of the de facto third-party support right away. Games looked and ran better on 360 than they did on the PS3. And it took a while for the PS3 to get quality exclusives. It took a while for the first party to step up to the plate. And yeah, like when Kinect came out, they started riding that train. It was really good. But don't tell me for a single second that you were happy with Xbox exclusives during the Kinect reign, because there were barely any hardcore exclusives, really. And I think people just look back on that time and they just think, well, Xbox was winning or doing really well, so it must have been great. But go back and look at the exclusive games at that period of time. There weren't very much, and they weren't very good. So,
what was that game that Korn did a song for?
they did a lot of songs for a bunch of different games.
Haze. Do you remember that?
Which game?
Was that Haze?
Oh, Haze. That was the PlayStation 3 exclusive. Yeah.
PlayStation? Oh, okay.
Yep. That was.
So I literally wanted to buy a PlayStation just because Korn had done the music for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, exclusive sale.
So, Jez, we have Apple blocking xCloud. A whole bunch of it. So, xCloud was announced launching September 15th. 22 countries, I believe. 100 games. They'll tell more about the full launch lineup later on. But obviously, I think the biggest news to come out of this is Apple's basically telling Microsoft to get the F out. They don't want them on their App Store. And Jez, you know more stuff about this than me. So what's going on here?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's clear up some misconceptions, because I've got a huge list of misconceptions about what this is all about. A lot of people talk about the fact that Apple wants a 30% cut of transactions through its store, and Microsoft didn't want to pay it. That is not the case. The reason this has been blocked is because Apple treats gaming content differently to it treats Netflix and Spotify. So, like with Netflix and Spotify, it sort of treats it as like, even though it's a platform and they're selling like music and stuff or movies and that, they don't really treat each bit of content as a separate entity. Whereas with games, Apple does treat each game as a separate entity, and that's why Halo on xCloud on iOS only had one game. It's because Apple's store policies prevented Microsoft from testing xCloud with more than one game, because xCloud counted as one game. Now, obviously, xCloud can run multiple games, and as per Apple's outdated store policies, they think that Apple needs to really go and look at this, because this is a case of like tech boomerism. Basically, someone who's a boomer wrote Apple's tech rules for games because they don't understand games. Apple has no gamers on their team. That much is evident from how bad everything to do with gaming is on Apple's platform. So this is just a consequence of Apple's outdated store policies. Now, you might wonder, like, why did Microsoft even bother putting iOS an xCloud version on iOS? And presumably it was because Microsoft was hoping that it could talk Apple around and be like, well, you know, this is no different to Netflix. You know, let us have this. We've bought Office to iPad, you know, which made iPad viable in a business context and all that sort of stuff. And they were hoping they could leverage it through. But Apple being Apple and sucking at everything they do, because they're a garbage company. I'm editorializing a bit here, right? So
okay, editorialize all you want. Go ahead.
Editorializing a bit. So because Apple's such a garbage fire company, they were just like, nah, you can have xCloud, but you're only allowed to put one game in it. So basically, what Microsoft could do is they could put Halo Infinite as a single client on iOS that automatically streams it from xCloud. and charge people £15 a month to get it. They could do something like that, but it would have to be every single game has to be reviewed separately, which is that's why it's just not going to happen in the short term. Now, I have heard that Microsoft has solutions in the works for the iOS problem, shall we call it?
Okay.
So I think like eventually they will find a way to get it onto iOS, maybe through the web or something like that. I don't know, but it's not going to be as good as the native apps that are coming to Android. So like the Samsung version actually has the full Xbox store in it. So if you've got like xCloud on a Samsung phone, you'll be able to actually just buy your games and buy DLC for the games and make in-app purchases and stuff like that. But because of Google's store policy on the Play Store, you won't be able to do that on the regular Android version. So like Microsoft is benefiting from Samsung's relaxed App Store policy, which is why Fortnite was on the Samsung App Store and not the Google Store for like several years until Fortnite started going, into decline or whatever. So, basically, this is Microsoft navigating a new business through several different hurdles to do with like different store policies, different rules, and stuff like that. Because cloud streaming is a new market, and no one's really come up with a de facto way to push this through. And this comes back to the whole thing about Microsoft not having a social graph. If Microsoft had a mobile platform that it could define its own rules for, then it'd be fine. But because Microsoft totally failed at mobile, and I'll be forever salty about it, they've got to put up with all this crap now. Yeah. And I'm sure they will figure out how to do it. And as more and more companies get involved in game streaming, it's gonna happen. But it's just, how are we gonna get there? That's sort of the long road ahead. Now, there's two outcomes possible here. Is that Apple changes its store policies, which are unlikely because Apple sucks and they're bad, and you should switch to Android. Everyone listening to this should switch to Android. So there's that slight possibility. The other possibility is Microsoft finds a way around it. Maybe they put their own games separately as separate apps onto the App Store. So like you can get like a Halo Infinite client as a game on the iOS store, and if you've got an xCloud subscription that you purchased through the web, then you can access it on your iPhone. Maybe they could do something like that. Or, there are ways they can potentially get around it for specific games that they own, or through the web. I don't know. But it's just Apple, man. It's literally just Apple. It's nothing to do with the money. It's literally just Apple's one dumb policy.
Well, I mean, of course it has to do with money. I mean, everything has to do with money.
No, but I'm just saying, it's not to do with Microsoft not wanting to pay their cut. Microsoft will pay their cut. Spotify pays their cut. Netflix pays their cut, or whatever, or whoever has those kind of platforms.
Does Netflix pay their cut? Because doesn't Netflix?
I don't know. Netflix
require you to go and sign up and subscribe outside of the iOS thing. Same thing with Spotify, right?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe they don't pay that cut, but it's but even still, Microsoft would have done it. They would have played by Apple's rules if Apple had a rule that would allow xCloud to happen, and they don't. And it's the same. The same reason you won't get Stadia on iOS, other than the fact Google would probably never put it there anyway. But it is what it is, And until Apple stops being a terrible garbage fire company, it's not going to happen. Sadly.
I mean, I always thought this was the outcome that was going to happen regardless. I mean, the Stadia's not on there for a reason. Neither is GeForce Now. xCloud's not going to be on there unless they do some backdoor deal to get it on there. But if they allow xCloud, then they're going to have to allow other things. So I don't think xCloud will. I think there's a good chance xCloud never comes to iOS ever.
I think it will through, other means.
Yeah, but then that's not truly play the games that you want on any device, which is the whole purpose of xCloud. Because if it's just games that they own, I don't like the whole idea is like there's a catalog of games
Well,
and you can just log into your phone to play them. And if it's just Halo Infinite or Avowed, I don't think that matters that much in the long run.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't. I think Halo Infinite as a free to play game or whatever, streaming from the cloud. I think that could be a big deal on iOS, but it doesn't matter because the wider market doesn't give a crap about Apple. iOS. It's only America. America's the only place where
And
Apple has.
where's the only place that cares about Xbox games right now?
Yeah, that's the other
America.
Yeah, that's the other conundrum. But that's why partnering with Samsung is smart because Samsung is obviously big in, South Asia and Korea and stuff like that. Samsung Galaxy is the de facto phone of choice in Korea, and which is obviously a big gaming market and a very big mobile gaming market. So if Microsoft can, find new markets through xCloud, through mobile on Android, where they could partner with Huawei in China. Who knows? The sky's the limit. Because outside of America, there's a whole big wide world of phones that don't have fruit on them. Better phones. Like Samsung Galaxy phones, far better than anything Apple ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna throw that out there. That comment is not sponsored, by the way. But hey, Samsung, if you want to pay me a cut, you got my address, right? But but it just is what it is, man. It's just Apple bullshit as usual, and we'll just have to wait and see if something changes. I don't think anything will change, but I also think Microsoft might come up with solutions to get around it.
Yeah, possibly. Don't Call Me White says, is Phil not cutthroat enough to compete with Sony? I think he is. It's just that a lot of the deals that they try to get are probably way too expensive because of the difference in user bases. We have one from Gunstar. He says, I'm pregnant with Rand's baby, I think. Ew, really? That must not be me. You're across the war. Well, you're across, you're a significant mileage away from me, Gunstar, so I doubt that very much. Regulator 951 says, so long to my iPhone and hello to my Note 20 Ultra. I was thinking...
I've ordered a Note 20 Ultra as well.
You did, huh?
We can be Note 20 Ultra bros.
Commander Shepard says, just saw a Twitter leak rumor that the possible release date for the Mass Effect Trilogy Remastered is September 29th next month. Thoughts, guys? Yeah. I mean, I think September or October would be the two candidates. So September 29th sounds like a good guess. And that's a little bit before the next gen consoles, and not a lot of games out and then. So yeah, I mean, I'll be down for that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't care about game streaming. I'm not really going to use xCloud, so it's hard for me to get passionate about this when I think everybody saw this coming. And there are a lot of people who blamed Microsoft for this, especially on social media. I saw how could Microsoft let this happen? It's it's not Microsoft. The Microsoft wants it on xCloud. Their whole thing is, they want that service everywhere. It's just that Apple has different rules for different things, and that's why Stadia is not on iOS and GeForce Now. I personally don't think anything's going to change unless Apple's forced to change their store policies by the government or some sort of antitrust lawsuit. Because I think Apple's just that powerful. Tim Cook's just gonna be like, oh well, too bad. Right?
I think there's a fair chance, the European Union could take a complaint from, because Google wants to put Stadia on iOS probably as well at some point. So Google and Microsoft might ironically be able to team up and be like, well, Apple's blocking us from competing with Apple Arcade and being antitrust or whatever on their platform. So there's a fair chance something governmental could happen to circumvent everything. But
Black says iOS has Stadia, and where I live, there aren't many people who have Xbox consoles, but mostly they play third-party games. There's a Stadia. I think there's a Stadia app on iOS, just like there's an Xbox app on iPhones, for the Xbox and for your friends and messaging as well as Game Pass. But I'm pretty positive you can't stream Stadia on your iOS, just like you can't stream from the cloud for Xbox. But there probably is a Stadia app on there. You just can't stream games from it for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's like a profile app or whatever. Because Facebook got involved today as well. Because Facebook put their Twitch their Twitch Facebook gaming sort of app on it, but like the Facebook gaming app also has like these crappy Facebook games in it as well. But on the iOS version, they had to strip them out. So
Mm.
and they posted a Twitter thread saying like Apple blocked us from having this on it. We submitted it multiple times. We tried everything, try and get through Apple's policy, but they wouldn't allow it. You know, and it's just Apple, man. Apple's just a bit of a garbage company, you know. And I feel bad for anyone who's locked into that ecosystem now because I get loads of messages like I can't quit Apple now. Like I use it for work. All my family use it. We've got a shared family calendar and iMessage and FaceTime and all this stuff. And they're locked into it because that's how Apple is. It's funny because I use like Microsoft services primarily. If I could switch to iPhone tomorrow and it wouldn't even vaguely affect me negatively because Android just doesn't lock you down like that. If I quit Android right now, I'd lose nothing. So yeah, that's why I'll never get sucked into that ecosystem because Apple's just garbage. I just hate that company so bad.
Yeah, you do really hate that company. Faisal says, "Are we getting any games news from Microsoft soon?" I think there'll be a bunch of news this August. I don't know if it'll be specifically about any games, but there'll definitely be news about stuff. What else here? Jez, we need to talk about Xbox Live Gold and free. Because apparently you said it was going free. At least that's what I read on certain forums.
Oh well, you know me. Sometimes I just say things that I completely, don't even realize I've said them until I've read them on some stupid forum.
Yeah. So, yeah, for a while, Microsoft got rid of the 12-month subscription option for Gold, the yearly $60 subscription from themselves. Like you can't get it from them. However, you still can get it from Amazon and Best Buy at this point in time, right? So people were wondering, something's going on with Xbox Live Gold. I made a couple of videos about it. Then they changed like their terms of service and they got rid of mentions of Xbox Live and called it the Xbox console service. So people were like, oh, something's happening. And then, what was it, 2 days ago, they literally came out and said nothing's changing with Gold. We're not discontinuing it. Nothing's happening. And they still haven't addressed like why they got rid of the 12-month subscription yet. And I don't like what more can you add to this, Jez? Because you guys got the quote from them.
I think it's pretty clear that Microsoft's preparing to transition away from Xbox Live Gold. I think I've written about it. I think, long story short, I think it depends on. I think they've done a cost benefit analysis or whatever, and they've worked out how many Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions they need before they can get rid of Xbox Live Gold, and they've probably got a projection of when they'll hit that target. And they'll probably be like, okay, we have a projection that, just say for example, I'm just pulling it out of my ass, they're gonna hit enough subscriptions in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate by March of next year. And if they do hit their goal, then they can get rid of Xbox Live Gold without it impacting their bottom line too much, So, but ripping it out of the blue just to get a one up on Sony in the console war, that's not a smart business decision. It's going to be like all of a sudden $2 billion taken out of your financials or however many $1 billion, and just ripping that away like a band-aid, like it's not viable. So I think like they do have projections that there probably is a date in the future where Microsoft projects they can get rid of Xbox Live Gold, but I don't think it's soon. And that comment from Microsoft spokesperson pretty much says that it's not going to be soon, So I think that's the end of the story for now.
Here's the thing. I said in my last video, right? I think Gold will go free eventually, and I don't think it'll be this year, and I don't think it'll even be next year. I think free to play will be free, truly free on Xbox by the time Halo Infinite comes out. Because I don't think Microsoft wants to have that conversation about it's free on PC, but it's not free on console. So I think at some point, maybe during this month, they make the announcement that free to play is free, like really free. Now that's just me speculating. Like, I don't know. That's just my guess. Because I think when Infinite launches, if they haven't made that change yet, a lot of people are going to be pissed off that you can play it on PC for free. And there's a lot of people already that out there that do feel that Xbox console gamers are second class to PC. Like PC gets exclusive games that either don't come to Xbox or come later, and they don't even have to pay for gold to talk to people online or play multiplayer games. And if Microsoft truly wants Halo Infinite to be the platform that they think and want it to be, you can't have that gateway from accessing it. So like it has to be free to everybody on Xbox Live, regardless if they have gold or not. That's kind of the way I'm thinking. I think also that Xbox Live going free entirely depends on how fast Game Pass elevates and gets new users. Because I think once Game Pass gets past the numbers of subscribers that Gold has, Microsoft might be more willing to make that switch. Because Game Pass is essentially more important than Gold at this point. Like, Gold's a footnote. If you look at some of the new marketing materials for like Xbox Live Gold Ultimate, like Gold is a footnote in it. So I think whenever Game Pass reaches a certain threshold, that'll happen. But I don't think that threshold is probably around 25 million users, 30 million users. That's just me spitballing because that's how many Gold users I think exist. Roughly, historically, it's been about half of the console user base. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but I do think the free-to-play stuff will change. Otherwise, they're going to have some nasty conversations at the end of the year. And I don't know. Do you think Microsoft needs to address why they got rid of the $60 yearly subscription, Jez, or are they just never going to talk about that?
I could try and ask them. I mean, they did just say that. They just give one of those stupid PR answers like, we're always reevaluating what's best for our customers or something like that. They did give some statement on it, but it was kind of like a non-answer. But I think it's just what I was saying earlier. They've done a projection. They've done some kind of projection when they can get rid of gold, and maybe that must mean that it's within a year from now. And I think that's a pretty good timeline, right?
Kristen A says, multiple mic drop moments, free Xbox Live Gold, keep the hype machine running to set up the next big letdown. I never said there would be multiple mic drop moments. I talked about that rumor, and I said that most likely that wasn't going to happen because that was the guy that said Lockhart was going to be $199. So I didn't believe in that multiple mic drop moments. And in fact, if you go back and watch my preview video for the Xbox Game Showcase, I nailed every single first-party game that was going to be there. You know, I said there might be gameplay, and I was completely wrong about that, and I'll take my L. But anybody who watched my preview video knew what to expect from that showcase. And I never once said Xbox Live Gold would be free. I speculated on if Gold was changing, what it could change into, and I always said I thought free-to-play would go free. And I'm saying now, I do think Gold will be free eventually. I don't think it's going to be free anytime soon. I think you're still 1 or 2 years away from that happening. I never said it was imminent. Things were changing, and I kind of was speculating on what... And I think a lot of people, like... Jeff Grubb did say, he had heard Gold was going away and that that multiplayer would be free. So, I mean, there are people, reputable people, who have great information, like Jeff Grubb, who has said that stuff, but not everybody knows everything and gets everything right. Sometimes you mishear stuff, and it doesn't work like that. But I mean, I don't know. You watch my videos, like I'm pretty consistent when it comes to that stuff. So I never said Live Gold was going free right away, and I certainly didn't say there was like that it was going to be a night of mic drop moments. Jacob.
I have no idea why people thought I said it was going free.
Well, they thought like you and like who else? Like Brad or like I don't know. Brad even kind
No,
of
they
said.
said me. They said me and Tom Warren said it was going to go free.
Oh, well, I know you didn't because we've had this discussion on this podcast, and you were always clearly like, I don't think it is. You have a bet with somebody.
I was one of the people who was pretty adamant it wasn't going to go away, just because purely on the basis I know how much money it makes. You know, it's like,
well, you also have a bet with somebody for pizza that it wasn't going away.
Yeah, I have a bet with someone for pizza.
Yeah, for pizza.
That is not going away because I need my gluten-free pizza.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jacob with the super sticker says thank you. Thank you for all the support. Dan Harris says, Rand, do you think Microsoft will ever bring VR to Xbox? I can't imagine how awesome Grounded would look in VR.
That'd be terrifying.
I don't think Microsoft will bring VR to Xbox. I don't think so. Don't Call Me White says, thoughts on ray tracing not being in games day one. There was something about the Medium that they removed their page or mention of ray tracing on the Series X page, but apparently that was wrong. Xbox Error contacted them and they said no, ray tracing will be there day one. So yeah, I'm not really.
I'm kind of iffy on that because I think it depends. It depends on Microsoft's implementation being ready, and I'm not sure it is. It's more like they hope it'll be on day one. Oh yeah.
Man. So the Xbox. So there's an Xbox Series S rumor I wanted to talk a little bit about, Jez. That this comes from Jeffrey Gubb, and I don't know if he's speculating or if he knows, but he was saying, what if a Lockhart came without a controller? And I started thinking about that, and I thought that could work, but it depends on how it's done.
I think I know where you might have got this rumor from.
Oh, interesting, because I might make a video about this tomorrow. So tell me, give me the deets.
Well, the Xbox All Access SKUs don't come with a controller.
No, really?
Not when you upgrade. You keep your controller. They just send you the new console.
So when you so if I signed up for One X and I wanted to upgrade to Lockhart or Series X, I would basically get the system, but I wouldn't get the new controller.
Well, you would if you were upgrading, but if you already had a controller, because Microsoft tracks what you have. So if you've got a controller, they only send you the console, I think, right? And if he's seen like a manifest with a SKU list on it, which has all the information about what's in the box, he might have seen an upgrade SKU that doesn't have the controller in it. That's what I mean. I could just ask him if that's what he saw, but that's something I thought straight away. Is like, because there are SKUs that don't have the controller in it because they're upgrade SKUs, you know. So maybe that's where that rumor comes from. But I could also be completely wrong, and maybe they are going to sell it without a controller. But isn't that kind of weird? That's never ever been done.
It's never ever been done before, and I think the only way it potentially works is if there's two SKUs at launch for Lockhart, one with the controller for $299 and one without for $249 or whatever. But even still, Lockhart's supposed to be like the lowest entry point, like for new users to Xbox, and not having a controller would be pretty weird. And I can imagine people being confused. Like, not in the sense, like, I know people were like, oh, Series X, 1X, like, oh my god, people might be confused. It's like, listen, that's just bull, because there ain't going to be 1X on stores, and what do you know, there aren't, just like I said there wasn't. But I legitimately could see somebody going to buy a console and seeing Series S, or whatever they want to call it, one with the whole thing for $299, one without a controller for $250 or whatever price you want to see it, but like not seeing the without a controller being properly labeled because you would have to do so on the box, and then picking up the one without a controller because it's cheaper, and then not realizing you do need one, and then giving it as a gift to someone who doesn't have an Xbox, and then when they open it up, they don't have a controller to play it with. I do potentially could see some confusion in that, but that would be... Yeah.
That's why I think it's an upgrade SKU for Xbox All Access. I don't know if it's something they're going to sell. I think you might have just seen I don't know. I could, like I said, I could just ask him. But to speculate, I think it might just be an upgrade SKU for Xbox All Access.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, I think it works potentially if you have two SKUs, but like if it's like no, Lockhart not only doesn't have a disk drive, it doesn't come with the controller, and that's the only SKU. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I know, maybe that was in the plans all along because I mean they do let the old controllers bring forward. So,
but you have to remember, Microsoft found a lot of success with how modular the Xbox 360 was back in the day. They sold that thing without a hard drive back in the day, you know, because it was ultimately like, how cheap can I get the shelf price to look, and like get, you know, and then sell people a hard drive later, just because maybe it just looks cheaper on the shelf, and then people are like, oh, I can buy the controller separate or whatever, you know. There are multiple ways it could go. It could either be this is a play to get the shelf price down as low as possible, and then just put a big sticker on the box that says controller sold separately, you know. And maybe a lot of people don't need another controller, because don't forget you can use your Xbox 360 controller on your Xbox One, you know. If you hate yourself, but you know. I can see them doing that, you know, because they did it with the 360, you know, hard drive sold separately. Or even, man, the first SKU of the Xbox 360 didn't even have Wi-Fi. It was like Wi-Fi sold separately.
That is true. Yeah.
You have to buy a Wi-Fi dongle for it.
See, this is the thing. Like, we're in August and we're still speculating about Lockhart and prices and stuff. This is what Microsoft has done because they're held off so long on announcing things that, you know, people know are real, and we don't even know the prices of these consoles, and the systems are coming out in less than, 3 months from now, essentially? We still don't even know the prices or when they're coming out. This is kind of... And I mean, I could see a controllerless SKU. I just, you know, like Jez said, like you mentioned, like it might be an Xbox All Access upgrade SKU, so who really knows? And then this probably... What?
Intriguing.
It is intriguing. You should ask him. You should tell him also to hit me up and follow me. I'm a pretty cool guy. Dan Rodriguez says, chances Microsoft is working on a Chromecast-like dongle like Stadia exclusively for cloud streaming. Love the show. Thanks. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, what do you think about that? You think they're working on some sort of Chromecast thing-ish?
That's Brad Sams's Project Hobart.
Yeah, I remember that. Project Hobart.
So Hobart was a streaming stick that Brad Sams posted about back in the day that unfortunately got cancelled. But... I don't think it needs to happen in 2020. I think what you do is you just make it an app and put an app on people's TVs. Because everyone's got a smart TV now, you can just make an app for Tizen or Android TV or whatever, and just slap it right on there. You know, if you're making one for Android TV, you've pretty much done all the coding already. So,
I just got an email that goes, notice of class action settlement RE Google Plus. Your rights may be affected. You are not being sued. This notice affects your rights. Please read it carefully. So it's about them getting rid of Google Plus, and there was a class action lawsuit. So if I join this class action lawsuit, I'll get a big check for $12.
YouTube millions.
YouTube millions indeed.
Women in millions, man.
I mean, I don't know. The xCloud thing is interesting. Like, Sam talked about that a while back, and I do think a prototype existed. I could see in the future there being like just smart TVs. Like, do you really need a dongle these days when you can just have the app natively on smart TVs, like Netflix or any of that stuff? Does it make sense to make some sort of hardware like that?
I don't think there's demand for that anymore. Like Amazon sold that Fire Stick thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
Why would you need that anymore? You know, pretty much all new TVs, especially TVs you need for the Xbox Series X, are going to be have apps in it. But I suppose you could make one for people who don't want to upgrade their TV and make it cheap and stuff like that. But then again, I don't know if Microsoft even has the technology to do that these days. Like, I don't know if Windows 10 IoT embedded even would work for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Confusing.
And state of play, one final thing before we get out of here. But make sure you guys think of some questions because we'll obviously open up the floor to people with any questions after this. State of play thoughts, Jez. I think you watched it. I watched it, right?
Shit.
Is that a
I
yes?
didn't watch it.
Oh, you didn't watch it? It was mediocre. I know a lot of people were, even though Sony set up expectations perfectly and told people what to expect, people were still let down. And I think a lot of it has to do with the focus on smaller indie titles. And I don't mean that negatively to me because I love really good indie titles. I think most people who tune in to watch this stuff don't want to see indie games. They want to see the big games. They want to see the big AAA games. They want to see the exclusives.
It's hard because it's like back in the day we had like Xbox Live Arcade, right? And you knew what Xbox Live Arcade meant. It meant like smaller games that were sort of receiving support from a publisher maybe or whatever. So like your Castle Crashers and Braid and stuff like that. But nowadays, like indie games are sort of like they try and stand with the big boys, and it's kind of like when you brand a game as an indie game, there's almost a stigma with it with some people. So like, how do you market that? Like, if you're Sony and you want to support indie games, how do you market it without just calling your event the indie event? And then automatically you lose like half your audience potentially. So I kind of feel it's kind of tough. Like, where do you categorize that nowadays? But like you said, I thought Sony managed expectations, and I mean, the way they talked about it made me think, oh well, I don't really need to watch that then. So my expectations were thoroughly managed. But I don't know. I appreciate games of all shapes and sizes, and all games are valid. I don't think people should be salty about this stuff. Like, I remember when like Nintendo basically did the same recently, where they had that whole like mini Nintendo Direct indie third party. Like, they even gave it like a whole bunch of like caveats, and people were still really mad. And people were hyping up like, oh, they're going to announce like 3 new Super Smash Brothers fighters, and they're going to announce new Metroid Prime and all this stuff, even though like they explicitly said they weren't going to do it. So I think people are just tired of waiting, and they just want information, and because there's really not a huge amount of information about stuff still.
There isn't. But I still think when people see stuff like Bug Snacks and they see those smaller games, it doesn't interest them. Or like Braid. For most people, I'm talking like the casual market, the ones who like, oh, Sony's doing a state of play. I'm gonna see what they're tuning into, and they didn't hear that on the PlayStation blog. It was just gonna be about this stuff. They're expecting Spider-Man and Horizon, right? And it's not there, and there's really nothing new or really anything exciting. Like, you can make the argument the most exciting thing was the entire Hitman trilogy being in VR, or the fact that Alan Wake, my boy, coming back in Control DLC on my birthday. What a birthday present. Control DLC that features Alan Wake on the 27th. What a birthday present for me. So yeah, the show wasn't anything spectacular. Like,
but Sony gonna have more shows, aren't they?
Think so. Yeah. I mean, they're still gonna do a teardown of the internals and the back and pat and all that stuff. It works. That could be a video or a blog post, but I still expect them to have another PS5 focused only show, whether that is towards the end of this month or the beginning of next month, because I do think they will have some sort of show where they reveal the price and pre-orders and stuff. I don't think Sony or Microsoft are going to do a blog post and here's the price. I think that stuff will be in a presentation with Phil Spencer giving the price and with Jim Ryan giving the price.
But what if the price is $600?
Well, then whatever. It's $600. And they'll say...
Yeah, but what if they just want to put it in a blog post and hope nobody notices?
Well, then, yeah. Well, good luck to them. Good luck to them at $600. So, but yeah, so I don't know. that'll be it for the show. That's my final thoughts on the State of Play. If you guys enjoyed the show, if you're leaving before we get to the questions, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell stuff. We appreciate everybody that was here. The 4 new channel members and all the super chats, all the support is honestly amazing. Make sure you follow me and Jez on Twitter. Hope you enjoyed the little gameplay look at Ghost of Tsushima. You know, there wasn't any spoilers in there. The game's fantastic. You should play it. And let's answer some questions for a little bit, Jez. How do you feel about that?
Feel groovy, baby.
Yeah. Saudi Caesar says, Xbox have ID at Xbox to market indie games. It seems successful. They do. And I did notice that if you've been watching a lot of the ID at Xbox Game Showcase, a lot of them were structured very similar to what Sony did in this past State of Play with the developer talking over the gameplay. And I really like that. I think that's maybe the best way to showcase the game is here's some footage and here's the developer telling you about the game. Rather than like showing you the game and then having an interview with the developer, I think it's just best to just have the developer talk while the game is being played. I appreciate that format more. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. It's like people in chat said, ID Xbox has had good success marketing indie games, and I agree. But there's a lot of games that are sort of indie, but almost stray into a grey area, like Sniper Elite. And is that still an indie game, or is that more than an indie game? Or
Sniper Elite is part of ID at Xbox. I think that would be more of a high-profile one, I guess.
Yeah, it's like weird. It's
Crisis technically would be it's in the ID at Xbox program.
But my point was though that there are a lot of people out there who just flat out will just dismiss a game if you're associated with the term indie.
That is true.
So
that is very true, and it's sad because there are a lot of great indie games, but then again, there are a lot of there's a lot of horrible ones, and I also think people get burned on that when they see just shovelware in the PlayStation Store and the Xbox Store and on Steam, and there's a lot of just crap on there, and they don't know what's really good because it's buried under 10 pounds of shit. You know what I mean? So yeah. Harvinder says, did you get the new store for Xbox? I did not. I did not get the new store. Jez has it, and you said it's super fast, and it's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, they've basically ported, or it's like React Native, I believe, and it is blisteringly fast. Like it's faster than I would have ever expected an app to run on Xbox. I can't get over how fast it is, actually. I'm going to make a video on it. Well, I don't know. I don't know, because I'm supposed to be on vacation now, Rand. I'm like, do I make a video when I'm supposed to be on vacation? Or should I just chill?
Well, you already made a video about it, though.
Yeah, I did, but I was using it on PC then.
Yeah, that's true.
My powerful hardware and SSD and stuff like that. And I think like the fact that it's running as fast as it did on PC on my Xbox is like really cool. But there are some bugs with it, and some things need to be tweaked, like the opacity on some of the buttons looks all messed up, and sometimes the labels disappear, but that's why it's a beta, and I shall be leaving my feedback.
Yep. I got the new game activity thing, the little top icon that replaced achievements, and I'll probably be making a video about how that changed stuff. What?
Where's that?
They removed the achievement section at the top row. You know how it was like home and then messages and capture and stuff, and there was the achievement icon. It's called game activity now, so it's completely changed. So I did get that. I did not get the new store, so I'll probably make a video about the changes to the game activity, like all that stuff. Like it'll make sense when I make a video about it. But I really wanted to get that new store because it seemed pretty awesome. Alex Sawyer says, is there a cap for the amount of studios Xbox will own? How many could you see them getting? I don't think there's a cap. It's just a matter of if the fit is right, and obviously the price is right. How many could I see them getting? Well, I mean, they get Warner Brothers. Who knows? But like Jez says, I don't really think that. I think maybe they get one more, possibly two. So you'd be at 17. But don't be surprised if they don't get anybody more, and it's just 15. So, I mean, Microsoft is talking to a bunch of, still a bunch of developers, but not everybody wants to be bought, or you can't really come to an agreement on the price. It is what it is. East Coast says, "What do you think? What do you think Xbox held back in terms of game studio acquisitions and third-party marketing? The global publishing team was almost non-existent. Where were those surprises?" Well, I mean, they held back on the Initiatives game and some of the other. I think that was the only one they truly held back on. I don't think the other ones were ready to show. Studio acquisitions, they'll announce when they make them, and they probably don't have any right now, so there's nothing to announce. Third-party marketing, I mean, they have marketing with Valhalla and Cyberpunk, but they wanted to do the game showcase as like, this is all the stuff coming to Game Pass. So they didn't include those. And yeah, I agree. Like, what is the global publishing team doing? We only saw As Dusk Falls, and I know they have more projects than that. But maybe those projects aren't ready yet, and maybe As Dusk Falls was the one that was most like soon coming out, and the other projects will reveal later. Isildur's Bane says, "Rand, tell Jez to tell us why he loves Windows over Apple." I love that story. Jez, why do you love Windows over Apple?
Oh man, this is a long story, but I think he's talking about the time that basically how I got into Microsoft was to spite someone. I knew someone who was like obsessed with Apple, and I was just like, I didn't care about any of this stuff back then, but I knew someone who was obsessed with Apple, and I just didn't get it. Like, he had an Apple logo on his front door, and he had like Steve Jobs' book on his coffee table, like an ornament, and there was a Mac in every room. And I never known anyone who was a fanboy of tech before. So just to annoy him, I got a Windows phone. And because like there wasn't a huge amount of resources out there for Windows Phone, I ended up discovering Windows Central, and then I was kind of like, this stuff's kind of interesting. And like Dan was like leaking stuff, and I found that interesting, and then I just kind of got into it from that. But I actually just hate Apple because I just don't like their business practices, locking everything down, turning their phones into a walk-in advertisement. Like, the fact that they don't let you customize the phone is just because they want, every time someone sees it, they want it to be recognizably Apple. So, it's a status symbol. I just don't like that. I don't like the way they do any of their stuff. It's too producty to me. But yeah, that's how I got into Microsoft. It was when I was trying to be a dick to someone.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. Sin Vendetta says, "Jazz Rand, I know I have a habit of recommending games you both aren't really into, but have you guys checked out Hellpoint yet?" I did see the trailer for Hellpoint, but I'm not interested in it. Jazz, have you?
I actually installed Hellpoint. Isn't it like a Souls-like, I think?
Yes.
Or something
yes.
like, I'm gonna give it a go, but like I generally can't get into Souls-like games. Like, I just get frustrated with them. But I don't know. Maybe this one will be different.
Peter Straub says, "Is Rand's real first name a secret?" No. My first name is Matthew. Hi, my name's Matthew. How are you doing? I know it's a pretty generic name. But you might catch my name in some of the videos I do from the dashboard when I do stuff like that. And how, like, I think my full name was there at some point, but my full name is also very generic. So, sorry.
Matthew.
Matthew, yeah, and then a generic last name. Den Harris says, "Do you watch Jelly Marbles runs? If so, who's your team?" I've only seen a couple of those, but I don't have a team, though. Do you watch Jelly's Marble runs?
Oh, what is that?
It's like it's hard to describe. It's like marbles going down like a path to the end. Someone set up during quarantine months ago. Unless I'm thinking of the wrong thing. But I haven't seen any of those in a while, so I don't have a team. I don't know he made a team or whatever. XL the Gamer says, "Do you think Xbox should bring back VR? Should they bring back VR? Should they bring VR? Absolutely they should. Do I think they will? I don't think they will. The only way they will is if suddenly VR takes off and becomes like the next big thing. Then Microsoft might be like, we need VR, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So I don't think they will.
Yeah, I don't think VR is I just don't think VR is a thing, really.
Yeah. Emperor Zergi says, "Is your gamer tag a secret?" is is that a joke question? My gamer tag is Randall Thor 19 on Xbox. Obviously, I've had my gamer tag on Xbox since 2004, and when I made the YouTube channel, I just said Randall Thor 19. I mean, same thing on Twitter. Even on PlayStation Network, it's Randall Thor 19, although it's like Rand underscore AL underscore THOR 19. Like it's in the description of all my videos, like my Switch code, my gamer tag, and my PlayStation Network ID. I'm Randall Thor 19 everywhere, on all social media that I have. So it's definitely not a secret. Blue Moon FC.
It's not a secret. It's just Jez.
Jez just got Jez. Jez. Well, that's pretty cool. Not a lot of people out there with 3-letter gamer tags.
Yeah, every now and then I get a message from someone saying, "How much would you sell your gamer tag for?"
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
No, absolutely not. Blue Moon FC says Thor is not generic. No, I don't think he's generic. If you're referring to what I said about Avengers being generic, I stand by that.
Name. He thinks your name's Matthew Thor.
Oh no. My last name is not my first name is Matthew. My last name is not Thor. That Randall. Okay, I'll explain this one more time because I always get people asking me about that. Oh, Emperor Zergi did say it was a joke. Okay, good. Randall Thor 19 is a gamer tag I made in 2004. Randall Thor is the main character in the Wheel of Time series, which is a fantasy book series written by Robert Jordan, very much like Game of Thrones. And I love that series. And I wanted to be the main character because he's so badass. Even though he obviously is crazy in the series because he hears that the voice in his head. Anybody who's read it would know what I'm talking about. And then 19 was because Randall Thor was taken in 2004. Someone had the gamer tag. So I had to put a number at the end. And the 19th is my brother's birthday. So Randall Thor 19. If it was my birthday, it would be Randall Thor 27, which I didn't really like as much. I think the 19 is better. So there you go, Randall Thor 19. A lot of people do think my real name is Randall too. I get that quite a lot.
Where are Randy? Like South Park.
Yeah.
Randy Marsh.
Yeah, that's definitely not the case. Dark Time says, Rand, did you play Fall Guys on PS4 or PC? I have not played Fall Guys. My buddies are playing it on PC though, but I've been busy finishing Ghost of Tsushima. The indie gamer says, I remember your full name. I won't say it with Gunstar around, lol. Just kidding, my friend. Yeah, people who've been paying attention will have seen my full name in my videos. Apache says, Rand, Cyberpunk or Halo Infinite, decide. Halo Infinite. That's not even. I don't even need to hesitate and think. Halo Infinite, 100%.
Are you serial?
Yeah, I'm dead serial.
Cyberpunk has nudity in it.
Halo's Halo. It's my favorite franchise. I'll choose Halo all day.
Cyberpunk has a penis slider in it.
I know it does. But it's a good thing is I don't have to choose. Although, maybe I do. What if they came out the same day? What if Series X came out that day?
What if Halo had a penis slider?
The Chief's dong?
Yeah. Or his package. Because he's got that armor on. What are we even talking about?
I don't know. I think, you know what? I think this is a good place to end the show. So I want to thank everybody for being here. If you're listening to this later on Spotify or iTunes or Google Play, we appreciate you. SoundCloud, wherever you're listening to this. Thank you. Anybody who joined the channel today with all the new emotes and channel badges, I hope you enjoy them. And I appreciate all the support and everybody with the super chats and just the comments or just you guys being here and being respectful and having a good time talking about games. It's all that really matters. So yeah, we'll be back next week. Jez, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
Stay safe and be nice to each other and send me hugs on Twitter.
Send Jez hugs on Twitter. And we will see you next week. Keep it gaming, everyone. Later.